We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live. It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And welcome into the Tuesday edition of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, presented by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember, FDIC, equal housing lender. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Folks, how we doing? Joe, what's going on?
Very tired. Very tired.
Did you stay up watching a little Monday Night Football last night?
I did. I couldn't stop. I could not see the end of the game. And
it's only week one. You got to pace yourself.
I know. Well, I think next week may be an opportunity to go to bed earlier.
For you.
Actually, I'm trying to think. Well, yeah, you're going to sit
I'll
there and
be watching the
enjoy
whole thing.
every moment of destroying the Lions.
I'll be sitting there until the clock hits 0, praying to God they do destroy the Lions.
I just thought about this. I actually get in pretty late from Seattle Monday night. Gosh.
So you'll be watching the game.
I guess. What else are you going to do, right? Watch on the Southwest little app there.
That's right.
Watch the Lions be a mighty team that will not yield.
That's right.
But yes, that was awesome last night. That was a great game, and also I'm addicted to the Manning thing. I wasn't even that excited about it, and at first I was like, I don't know. And then after about 10 minutes, I'm like, yeah, actually, I'd like this for every football game. Thank you.
Yeah, I kind of walked away from the Manning broadcast last night and said, Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, Louis Riddick, sorry. I like most of you most of the time, but not going to be watching y'all anymore. I'll be watching Peyton Manning every Monday Night Football broadcast that he's on there.
I know, and it's like at times there were times in the game where, it was like, gosh, I feel like I should be watching. Like, what's the traditional broadcast? Like, Riddick is a great analyst.
He's great.
So, like, what is Riddick saying right now? There's probably really good stuff. I'm very interested to see the ratings on this. I'm sure that the ratings are going to be bigger for the normal broadcast on big ESPN. Yeah. But I'll be very interested. And I'm with you. Like, it's like, how do you turn away? There were times when I felt like Eli, needed to talk more. But actually, he's sneaky funny.
He kind of is. And I was worried about that because I knew that Peyton is funny.
Right.
And when they said that Eli was going to be doing this, I was like, yeah, really? Like Eli Manning? Is he really all that good? All that funny? I liked him. Yeah, it was good.
He's a likable little dork,
Yes, he was like awkward with his little microphone, but it was so comical. And when the producer was like, okay, we're going to break, and they're just
going
chatting away. It's amazing.
I hope they don't change that. Like I was wondering how that would work. Like, is somebody going to coach up Peyton Manning on how to send things to break or something like that?
He's like, I'm going to go.
But my thing is just leave it the way it is. Let them keep talking, and they can come back. They'll still be talking when they get out from commercial break. It was good stuff.
So I love Barkley. There was some funny stuff. I mean, I think my favorite stuff might have been Ray Lewis, just because they had some great stories of playing against each other. Kelsey didn't do a lot for me. Yeah. That was probably the weakest segment, but then Russell Wilson all the way to the end of the game, that was some pretty good QB analysis all the way around. It's like, well, if he wants to do this, he can do it. Obviously, I mean, Peyton has been that too. Like, if he wants to do whatever kind of broadcasting thing, he'd be like the top guy. But Russell Wilson too, when he's done, yep. And then, hey, maybe the Titans benefit from this because Russell Wilson didn't get to Titans tape till like, well, I was going to say midnight, but I guess Pacific time. But it's still like after 10, right? After 9, after 9:30, something like that.
You think he's got to watch a lot of Titans tape after last week?
Well, I think he will.
I think he will too. Michelle, what did you think of the Manning brothers broadcast?
Oh, I thought it was incredible. It's so nice when you have like just comedy and people just relax for a second. I feel like sometimes we watch these traditional broadcasts and they're so uptight and having to be perfect, and now we're going to break, and it was just they were chilling on their couches. Ray Lewis was like laying diagonal on his couch, and they were just having so much fun. And I don't know if you guys heard this, but Eli made a comment when Peyton took the helmet off, and he was like, you should spray some Pam on your forehead or something, just making fun of him. And I just thought it was funny. I was laughing on my couch by myself watching it, honestly.
No, it was good. And I think like one of One thing I was interested to see with it was, all right, when something bad happens, like when Derek Carr makes a few stupid plays, which he made about 15 of them last night, like is Peyton or Eli, are they going to say anything about it? Or when an official makes a bad call, are they going to say anything about it? Turns out the answer is yeah. They just kind of went right with it. They said whatever was on their mind last night, which was great. I hope they keep doing that.
Yeah, well, and the best example of that was Eli's reaction at the end when Gruden sends out the field goal team, and then the clock's running out, and they completely botch it, and he's just like, what is going on? I mean, which is, again, like what anybody watching the game was saying, too. Like, what are you doing, Gruden? And then, of course, they win on the next play. What a crazy game. Yeah. And I'm watching Fitz's Twitter feed from within the stadium, and I'm like, he just keeps tweeting like I'm dead or whatever. Like, I'm sure that was a wild night for him. And of course, so I tweeted this. I think you texted us right after I tweeted this, and I saw a lot of reaction on Twitter. So this is how I had the quote, Peyton. There's a reason for practice. That's why you want to practice. That's why you want all your receivers to be there. It's important. It matters. But he said a bunch more stuff, too. And, of course, it was like, is he subtweeting the Titans right now?
Yes, I did. Yep, Joe.
But it's funny because you think, especially with Peyton Manning, like, think about all those the pregame stuff even for him with his receivers in, Indy, like the absolute perfection and the amount of time spent to be exactly right.
Yep.
And, not happening here at this point.
Travis Kelce made a comment on that as well. He said, like, I want all the reps in training camp. Like, I don't care. I don't want to have to worry about the fundamentals during the season. And, hey, look at his playing ability.
Yeah. Right, and look at how they play together. I will say, like, this as it translates to the Titans as I punch the microphone. Like the questions were still coming yesterday, and it is at this point, it's like it doesn't matter anymore, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm kind of sick of hearing the question now.
Well, I mean, it is what it is now. You've just gotten your tails whipped.
Yeah, exactly. So. I mean, now it's just like, here's another week of practice, so take advantage of it. I mean, I think some of the questioning, it's interesting because we just heard Keyshawn and those guys talk about Vrabel and the Julio thing, which we'll talk about a lot today. But and someone on there said, well, Vrabel, was clearly upset during camp about the lack of practice time. Well, he never said that. So I think some people actually think Vrabel doesn't – I got a lot of that Sunday, like, well, this is why Vrabel should learn that these guys need to practice together, And it's like, well, no, I mean, I think Vrabel would have had them all together the whole time. He would have given them their maintenance days and all that. Preseason games, that's different. And honestly, again, to me, that's two different discussions, and I'm actually on Vrabel's – I'm in that camp on that. But the practice stuff, that wasn't his choice. That was Julio in particular. I think A.J., we know he's coming off the surgeries, right? I think A.J., like, you got to be careful there. But Julio, it seemed – I mean, I don't know. He hurt himself on a play, and it took him a long time to come back. But I think there was maybe some personal choice in there, and maybe there's some frustration that's resulting from the whole thing right now publicly.
Could be. We'll get to more of that coming up here in just a few minutes. You know who you're going to see next week on this Peyton Manning broadcast, right?
Hold on. Don't tell me. So Packers. Oh, Favre?
Oh, yeah. He'll be on there.
God.
It'll be Peyton, Eli, and Brett Favre for about half the game.
Do you know this for a fact? Or
no.
I mean, you're probably right.
I mean, I'm just putting two and two together.
So, yeah, they'll probably try to gear it to one of the teams at least, I guess. I mean, obviously they did with Ray Lewis last night. Yeah.
I mean, I would assume Brett Favre will be on there. Maybe Barry Sanders. They can get Barry Sanders on there.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
A little bit of both. I don't guess they had anybody from the Raiders on there last night.
Yeah. They had Kelce, who's in their division.
Yeah. There is that. And then John Gruden, after the game, talking about Darren Waller, who had about 38 targets last night, called him the best player he's ever coached. And I was like, You've coached Jerry Rice and Tim Brown and Charles Woodson, and Darren Waller is the best player you've ever coached. Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting comment from John Gruden last night.
What is up with Gruden? He's 1-0.
Look, he's really good.
He's 1-0.
I have no problem with Waller because he's really good.
Waller's a great player, but come on.
The best player you ever coached? You coached some pretty good players in the past, man.
That's just like a crazy hot take. Like, dude, what?
Look, maybe
Warren Sapp?
Yeah, maybe Gruden knows, man. He just knows that Waller, when everything's said and done,
Wall Street. That's what Kelsey called it. Wall Street.
Wall Street. When everything's said and done, he's going to end up being the greatest tight end to ever play the game.
And then he still won't be Jerry Rice.
And he still won't be Jerry Rice. And he still won't be Charles Woodson. But yeah.
That too, yeah. Okay. Gruden, that whole thing over there, Gruden-Mayock.
I'm starting to think that this could be tough sledding for Baltimore this year. I mean, the injuries at some point. I mean, they had an offensive lineman get carted off the field last night. This is just – it's pretty crazy, the amount of injuries they've sustained in about a 3-week span of time. I know they've still got a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball especially, but really there's only so much you can overcome from an injury standpoint before you're just sunk at that point. And it doesn't help that they got the Chiefs coming up next week either.
Yeah, and that's one of those things too. I mean, just that game. I mean, it's one game in 17, but I just feel like that game is, especially for them after all this stuff, and then the way it unfolded. Granted, the Raiders did a lot to try to give it away, with the half-yard line and then the pick, but Lamar Jackson with those 2 fumbles. I thought Lamar Jackson looked really good throwing the football last night. Just with that offense, I feel like any serviceable running back can have some success in that offense.
Yeah.
But, yeah, at some point, that stuff is just too much, especially Peters and now, losing an offensive line. That's brutal.
Yeah, and sometimes the injury bug hits, and it really doesn't stop, and so far that's been the case for the Baltimore Ravens. We'll see whether or not they can respond as they move forward here, but big win for the Raiders last night. Marcus with a big run in that game, early in the game.
Then he got hurt.
He got hurt.
And then Peyton Manning called him Mariota.
Well,
like the rest of the world.
Like I was about to say, like the rest of the country. Yes.
Other than Nashville, Eugene, Oregon, and Honolulu, everyone else calls him Mariota.
That's correct. We're off and running here today on Robby and Rexrode. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Some very interesting comments yesterday by Titans head coach Mike Vrabel regarding Julio Jones. We'll get into all that and more coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Touchdown, Tennessee, A.J. Brown! A.J. Brown and the 0-1 Titans are headed to Seattle for a crucial Week 2 showdown with DK Metcalf and the Seahawks. And we've got you covered with non-stop coverage all week long.
It'll be a huge challenge. We're going to have to try to recognize how important we believe the keys are.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Join compassion and give hope to a family in extreme poverty. Share your $40 one-time gift when you text the word GIVE to 83393.
It's soccer season in Tennessee. You want goals?
He takes it inside, outside, right foot, great finish! What a goal!
You want saves?
Lifted high, into the hands of Joe Willis. He makes the catch.
You want big drama?
Put in, it headed in! Delirium! It's Yonder Cadiz!
Nashville SC are back at home Wednesday, September 29th versus Orlando City SC. The action kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Tickets on sale now at NashvilleSC.com.
How'd you like that?
Hey, it's Jared for my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. The NFL is back, and FanDuel Sportsbook wants you to get the most out of every play. That's why they're giving everyone a $10 risk-free bet every week. All you have to do is bet a same-game parlay bet with 3 legs or more, and if your bet doesn't win, FanDuel will pay you back up to $10. For example, the Titans have Derrick Henry's rushing total, Ryan Tannehill anytime touchdown scorer. It's all right there. And let me say this. Derrick Henry's going to run wild against the Seahawks. They've got fast payouts with the FanDuel Sportsbook app, easy to use, safe and secure, and they're America's #1 sportsbook. There's no feeling like nailing a same-game parlay, so lock in your bet on the FanDuel Sportsbook and get up to $10 back if your bet doesn't win. New to FanDuel Sportsbook, also claim your 30-1 odds on either team to win the biggest game this Sunday, the Chiefs and the Ravens. Just sign up with the promo code JGM. That's promo code JGM. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Same game parlay available for multiple sports in all states on the mobile/web. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789.
Cheers to you, girl. I know you're excited about the new job.
Oh, thanks so much.
Hey, is that my engagement ring you're wearing.
Don't be silly. Oh, wow. They are identical. How did that happen?
Don't tell me. He went to jail.
Yeah, yours too, I guess.
Wow.
Don't make her settle for one of those cookie cutter rings from the big corporate chain jewelry stores. At Genesis Diamonds, you can get her a stunning one-of-a-kind designer ring, one that's as unique as she is. Genesis has over 4,000 handcrafted rings from world-class designers like Tacori, Verragio, Henry Dossi, and others. These are designers that you'll never see in one of those mega corporate stores, but we have them starting at under $1,000. So ladies, don't settle for the ordinary, for a ring that will be yours and yours alone. Make sure he goes to
Genesis Diamonds.
continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Bode Nashville is a chic and stylish downtown Nashville hotel, walking distance to some of Music City's most popular spots. Bode Nashville is also home to Sidebar, an in-house cocktail bar, perfect pregame spot on your way to a ball game, a show at Ascend Amphitheater, Broadway, or as a nightcap after exploring the city. Join Jared and Caroline on Monday, September 27th, live at the Bode Nashville for a Titans edition of Stillman & Company from 2 to 6. We hope to see you there. Bode Nashville is located at 401 2nd Avenue South in Sobro. See you on Monday.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Robby and Rexrode on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, conveniently serving Middle Tennessee with 13 locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you. Also streaming on YouTube, on Twitch, and on Twitter as well. And our video streaming is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Joe, some interesting comments made yesterday by Titans head coach Mike Vrabel at his Monday press conference, and he said a lot yesterday, and we'll get into the meat of what Vrabel said, both about the Arizona game and kind of looking ahead to Seattle as well. But one thing in particular that Vrabel said yesterday that's making headlines both here locally and nationally as well. We heard Keyshawn and Max Kellerman and Jay Will talking about that before we got on the air. Some comments about Julio Jones and the personal foul penalty that took place early in the game on Sunday. It was really, actually, Julio Jones' first mention in the box score as a member of the Tennessee Titans. A run to make it 3rd and 1 by Derrick Henry, and Julio Jones gets a personal foul penalty, and that makes it 3rd and 16. And as we know, 3rd and 16 did not work out very well for the Titans in that game. And all of a sudden, Arizona is running away with the ball game after that. A phrase that Vrabel has used before was used again yesterday by the Titans head coach. Here's what Titans head coach Mike Vrabel had to say yesterday at his Monday press conference.
See from Julio, and maybe did he give you maybe a talking point already about maybe keeping your composure and getting that penalty?
Sure, critical mistake. I don't think that those are absolutely that's absolutely nothing that we coach or teach. So that would fall into the category of doing dumb that hurts the team. Right there in bold letters. Goes from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 16.
So that was Mike Vrabel yesterday at his press conference with a very popular phrase that was coined last year by the Titans head coach. Using it again with Julio Jones, doing dumb stuff to hurt the team. Called it a critical mistake. And kind of a surprising comment by a coach that most of the time does not really go out of his way to criticize players. That's pretty critical of Julio Jones yesterday.
I stood up and took notice, and I've been trying to actually since then, trying to rack my brain. I mean, again, I think back to the win over New England in the playoffs. He talked a lot about Kenny Vaccaro's performance that game, and even then I was like, you don't get that a ton for Vrabel. Now, here and there, of course, he'll say, hey, Derrick Henry, yeah, great player. Tannehill, played great. He said yesterday.
He was all about some Christian Fulton yesterday.
Yep. So it's confirming kind of what we thought. Christian Fulton was one of the few bright spots. So he does that. We know he doesn't talk injuries. Certainly he has been asked before about player mistakes like after a game, and he'll say, yeah, like you got to do whatever you got to. But even a lot of times he kind of tried to shift it away from that. He's definitely not someone who likes to call out or criticize his players. And this was a day later. This wasn't heat of the moment. Like right after a game, you're all frustrated with the loss, and maybe you pop off. I mean, this was like he wanted to say this. So now you can take this. You can take this, I guess, wherever you want and what that means. But I was definitely a bit surprised by it. By the way, I'm reading the Titans transcript, and they wrote out the word.
Don't do
good
dumb
for you.
that hurt the team.
There you go. Just wrote
Thank
the
you,
word
Mike.
out. I like that. Let's be real. Titans transcripts sent out by Kim Smith. Good stuff. Good bleep.
No,
good bleep from the Titans.
No editing going on here. We're not soliciting anything.
Yeah.
Censoring. Soliciting. Censoring.
We are soliciting more swear words from Mike Vrabel,
That's
if
correct.
possible. I tell you what, there's been already all this talk about Julio, and he's not practicing, and all these things. Is it possible that he hurts the chemistry of the team? We know what happened in Atlanta. Arthur Blank speaks out on him last. Now, I have bought into this, though, and I think we've talked about this. I have bought in the idea that, because remember early on when he came, it was like, well, what if he's not getting a lot of targets or whatever? So look, if they're winning, then I think it's fine. Now, the what happens is if this team is not as good as expected and they lose, that's where you never know. When you bring in someone like this who's a big superstar with a huge deal and things don't go well. And obviously there is a history. Whatever is the root of the history there with him in Atlanta, there's a history with the contract and this and that and the coaching staff and the front office. And I don't know. I don't want to overreact and say this is like Vrabel, reacting because in general he's upset with him or something like that, or he's mad at the practice time or whatever. But I was surprised to see him call him out like that.
I was too, and I don't really know what to make of it, to your point. I mean, this is not something we see from Vrabel very often, and I had kind of an interesting thought yesterday in the immediate aftermath of this going on. And, obviously we spent so much time talking last year about Isaiah Wilson and the frustration that came with that. But I remember thinking, early on in the season when there was all these questions about Isaiah Wilson, Vrabel never showed anywhere near the frustration with that he just did with Julio Jones. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, is this really him being that frustrated at Julio Jones? Is this just frustration to the penalty? Is this just a Vrabel phrase that he said throughout there, and he's not thinking as much of it as everybody else is? I don't know what the answer is, but if he's already that upset with Julio Jones and maybe the way that he's approached the season so far or not being available, whatever it is. And again, I don't want to overreact either to one quote. It's just interesting to me that there seems to be more of a disgruntled reaction out of this from Mike Vrabel than we ever saw from Isaiah Wilson last year until later in the season.
Yeah, that's a very interesting way to look at it, and that's a good point. Again, you just don't see this a lot about anyone from him. Now, again, it could also just be that play. And if you look at that play and that moment, was it 10-0 at that point? 3-0. I think it was 10-0.
I think it was 10-0.
So you get a 3rd and 1. You have a chance to have a drive. You need points. You need to, change the momentum of the game. And then you get a dumb penalty, a very dumb penalty from a veteran who should know better, right? And you go to 3rd and 16, and guess what? It's 17-0. I mean, you can look at a few different moments of that game. I'd still look at the Kyler Murray play, which is getting a lot of notice.
Yes, it is.
As one of those moments. And also after the Byard pick and the touchdown to A.J. Brown, 24-13, that's when the defense really failed them, where you needed one more stop to try to maybe flip the game. But
look at 5 moments from Chandler Jones. Yeah.
Well, sure. Yeah. I mean, anytime he lined up, there's a moment too. But that was a big moment. So maybe it's as simple as, that just still bugged Vrabel. They had just watched the film and it was still on his mind. I don't want to overreact until someone tells me this is the case. And think that this is some comment on a larger issue. I mean, I think that's irresponsible. but I also think that this is unique to Vrabel.
Christopher on Periscope says it's two different scenarios. Wilson was a rookie. Julio Jones is an established pro who should know better. Jay Robinson 19 also says Jones is a vet. He should know better. I'm completely okay with what Vrabel said yesterday. I don't have a problem with what Vrabel said. And look, I think after a game like that, number one, the game itself should get your attention if you're a player on this team. But I'm okay with a little bit of harshness after a game like that from the head coach, trying to get your team woken up heading into the rest of the season. So I'm not bothered by what Vrabel said. It's just interesting that Vrabel, who typically goes out of his way to not criticize anyone on his team, here we are in week one of one loss of a 17-game season, and he just went kind of right after Julio Jones.
Right, exactly. I don't have a problem with it either. That's the thing. It just stands out. It's different from what you usually get from Mike Vrabel. Now, some reaction to this, and I think this is fair too, is, so you're going to call it the 15-yard penalty. How about the coaching in the game and the overall product that was put on the field? Are you mad at yourself about that? That's fair too.
There is that.
That's a fair reaction. I'm going to go back real quick to a quote from Sunday. I had this in my column off the game. But here's a larger example, a larger segment of it. So, okay, quote from Vrabel, quote, "You get out there and it's critical everybody's on the same page. And, attitude, I hope we have an attitude that is ready to compete and not just think we can just show up in this league. This is a great league. It doesn't matter where you came from, where you're drafted, how expensive your suit is, or what kind of car you drive. You got to prove it on the field," end quote. Thought that was an interesting comment. And again, you could read into that a lot, or you could say he's just saying in general terms, and he says that a lot too. Hey, look at this league. You got undrafted whoever, Ferkser comes up and he's a starter and makes plays, and you got first and second round picks who don't make. He talks about that in general terms, but it was interesting that he said that after the game too.
Yeah, that is very interesting, and it kind of makes you wonder if you're a Titans fan. Okay, we've seen the product on the field. You got some of these comments from Vrabel after the game. Is some of what we saw on Sunday as simple as the Titans walking in the stadium think that they were so good and they were just going to walk all over Arizona? And if that's the case, I think they should probably learn very quickly that does not happen in the National Football League.
Yeah, it's hard for me to, it's hard for me to buy that at large, but maybe a little bit of buying into the hype more than that. They know how good the Cardinals are. Look, Chandler Jones, it wasn't just some out-of-the-blue dude who – granted, he's never had 85 sacks in a season like he's about to have, But Chandler Jones has been a guy. Kyler Murray, they know they knew he was dangerous.
Chandler Jones got a game ball from Good Morning Football yesterday, so –
there you go.
Good for him.
So hey.
5 sacks. That'll get you one.
I would freaking hope so. These guys have a little bit of an idea of how good DeAndre Hopkins is. So I don't buy the whole just thought they were going to show up, but maybe they didn't quite have the right ferocity, the right toughness, the right outlook. And I think they got punched and didn't respond too. And look, sometimes if you just can't block some people, if you can't block some people, you can't tackle some people, can't cover some people, you can have the best attitude in the world and probably not going to go well for you.
So what did you think of the Mike Vrabel comments yesterday on Julio Jones's personal foul penalty? Is it a big deal, small deal, no deal at all? Hit up our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. We'll continue that discussion next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Titans, Seahawks. The Two-Tone Blue seeks a Week 2 victory in hostile territory. Tune in Sunday at 1 for NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard. Live from Corner Pub in Cool Springs. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
What is it that makes you uniquely you? Well, DuckDuckGo doesn't think that's any of their business, and frankly, it shouldn't be the business of any tech company. Protect your privacy online for free with DuckDuckGo.
Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel is one of Nashville's favorite places to dine, serving up their award-winning menu items again. Kitchen Notes is renowned for their Southern-inspired dishes with a contemporary twist. Their breakfast features the popular Music City omelets, sourdough pancakes, cast iron waffles, plus everyone knows that their Sunday brunches are the talk of the town. Lunch menu items include smoked prime rib, chicken hash, and the Kitchen Notes legendary shrimp and grits. Kitchen Notes is open Thursday through Sunday at 7 a.m. till 2 p.m.
It's not just about being in your community, it's about being your community. Come experience the all-new state-of-the-art Volunteer State Bank second Murfreesboro location at 2019 Memorial Boulevard. Volunteer State Bank offers personalized services like banking for professionals, free Kasasa checking, the convenience of mobile banking, and the money you need when you need it. Visit one of our 13 locations or online at ballstatebank.com. Real people, real solutions, right here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We've all had that dream. Tie game, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded. Well, on FanDuel Sportsbook, you'll get more than one shot to swing for the fences because FanDuel is letting you place your first bet risk-free. That's right, new users get up to $1,000 back. It's like credit if your first bet doesn't win, and it only gets better from there. Check out FanDuel's new promo live every Tuesday, $5 Dinger Tuesdays. Place a wager of $25 or more on any player to hit a home run on Tuesday and get a $5 bonus inside credit for every home run hit in the game, maximum $25. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app and sign up with promo code PLAY to get in on the action. That's FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code PLAY. 21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only for risk-free bet. Refund and bonus issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max bonus $25 per game. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call Tennessee Redline 1-800-889-9789.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facility safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Want to look like $1 million but only spend a handful of bucks? Upgrade to Dollar Shave Club with the Ultimate Shave Starter Set for only $5. Get a 6-blade razor, prep scrub, shave butter, and post-shave dew for a noticeably smooth shave. Plus free shipping. Razors can be expensive, so don't spend all that money for a mediocre shave. Dollar Shave Club. It's what dreams are shaved of. After the starter set, razors ship at a regular price. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/gojo. That's dollarshaveclub.com/gojo. Welcome to the club.
Saturday night.
CJ Sapong! He is a phenomenon!
CJ Sapong and the boys in gold continue their road trip when Nashville SC visits Toronto FC. Coverage begins at 6:15
on ESPN
94.9 and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is Mookie Betts. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
See from Julio, and maybe did he give you maybe a talking point already about maybe keeping your composure and getting that penalty?
Sure, critical mistake. I don't think that those are absolutely that's absolutely nothing that we coach or teach. So that would fall into the category of doing dumb that hurts the team. Right there in bold letters, goes from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 16.
That was Titans head coach Mike Vrabel yesterday at his Monday press conference, going over the game against Arizona, discussing Julio Jones and his personal foul penalty in the first quarter that took it from a 3rd and 1 to a 3rd and 16 on the play. And we're reacting to that now here on the show, taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Ben texting in. I think the Julio play was just the low-hanging fruit because it's easily correctable but also caused a fair bit of damage. He might be sending a message that even star players can't do stuff like that. I wouldn't take anything extra away from it at this point. Another few weeks, and then maybe you do take something away from it.
I think that's a reasonable assessment by Ben. And I think that it could be the opportunity to send a wider message to everyone. Could be just an opportunity to send a message to just to Julio. I mean, he's the new, it's like don't treat stars differently than first of all, there is, every team, there's some level of, again, like Derrick Henry,
he's in the sand pit the whole thing.
But which again is
smart.
Yeah. So there's it's not like you're ever going to have a team where truly it's just like everyone is the same, but Vrabel certainly gets after whoever out there. But Julio is obviously the new star other than Bud Dupree. But Bud Dupree, I think, comes in and to me is like instantly, kind of like he's got the personality of a guy who can just come in and be one of the leaders on the team right now. So, but those are the two new stars. All the other stars have been here, right? And so they've already been working together in the same work environment. So those are really the two new ones. Yeah, look, I think you're probably right that one, I think it's probably going to be talked about a lot today in a lot of shows, and there's going to be various reactions to it, probably some overreactions. But it just, look, it's just different. It's interesting. And there's clearly some, even just in the way Vrabel answered it, some frustration that came out there.
Let's go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in Ron from Nolensville, who wants to weigh in. Ron, thanks for calling in to Robby and Rexrode.
Thank you for taking my call. I actually have a problem with his comment. And the reason I have a problem with it is, now he can call out this veteran, and I'm sure Julio knows it was a bonehead to play himself. However, when you all as reporters ask Coach a direct question, he always gets an attitude. So I just have a problem with his press conferences and not really answering you guys' questions, but he's got to pick something like what transpired in the game with Julio and jump all over it. So, I don't know if you guys see the correlation what I'm trying to make.
Oh, yeah.
But, that's my issue with it.
Hey, thanks for the call, Ron. We appreciate it. And I think to Ron's point there, that's what kind of makes it so interesting is he does a lot of times when you ask him a direct question, do what a lot of coaches do and say something without really answering the question. And then he's asked about this from Jim Wyatt, and he goes on to this rant about Julio Jones and the play and how it's a critical mistake, and the phrase doing the dumb stuff that hurts the team comes back up. It's just kind of very different to Ron's point of what we normally see from Mike Vrabel.
Right. And again, that kind of goes along with a little bit different, but like people who immediately were like, were you mad about your coaching on Sunday?
Yeah.
Were you mad about all the things that, that went wrong on both sides of the ball, especially offensively? There's so much. Yeah, to isolate this thing is interesting. This thing was one mistake. It was a dumb mistake. But, man, we already went through the list yesterday of things, and it's a long one, of either bad plays or dumb plays or just overwhelmed by the opponent plays that resulted in this blowout. There's a whole bunch of things to have a problem with from this game.
Well, and, I've seen a lot of people worried about, what is Julio's response to this going to be? Like, does Julio Jones not appreciate being called out like this? And I'm sure he's not thrilled by it. I don't know anybody that's like, you know what? Really glad the coach just called me out in the media. That's what I was looking for, what I was waiting on. But also, Julio Jones has been around long enough to know that this is part of it. This is part of the business. And, part of me kind of wonders if maybe a tactic from Vrabel here is, all right, let's try to get Julio going a little bit and seeing if he could be the guy that we brought him in here to be and to make a huge difference for this offense because, again, it's hard to judge anything from the first game based on the protection of the quarterback. And, they were never able to take any deep shots down the field. We talked about that yesterday. I don't know how deep into their offense they were really able to go just based on the protection and the score of the game. So it's kind of an outlier game on that surface by itself. But, I didn't come away from Sunday's game thinking, Julio Jones was looking pretty dangerous out there. He's got to be a guy that is dangerous for this team as they move forward here.
Yeah, that could be too. I guess I watched him run routes a lot and stuff, and I thought he looked good. A lot of times, the problem is Sunday. If you watch someone run a route, then all of a sudden you're like, Tannehill's on the ground again.
Quarterback's on the ground. How about that?
Okay. So, I can't look at 3 catches. What was it, 3 for 29? Is that what Julio had?
Yep.
It's hard to put it on him. A couple plays he could have made. One he had to make. He had a drop, but no, I mean, I think there's bigger issues there with the lack of production. But who knows? Maybe just on a daily, weekly basis here, they're looking for more from him and looking for him to, assume kind of a leadership role. I mean, it looked like he kind of was coming in during minicamp and doing some of that with the receivers. I don't know. It's all speculation around, like, does this mean there's some big issue? Is this just sort of popping off in the moment? It's harder for me to buy that a day later. The right after the game thing, every coach, that happens to every coach sometimes. This was a day later. Jim Wyatt asks a question. Vrabel answers a question. It could mean a lot of things, but I agree with anyone who says, okay, but there's bigger issues here, and you don't normally answer questions like this, and you had all kinds of issues, so why is this so important to do?
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. And then later in the press conference, or I think it was probably earlier in the press conference before the Julio Jones question, he just kind of brought up Christian Fulton by himself, just talking about the way that Christian Fulton played and talking about being excited to watch Christian Fulton play football this year and how well he played against Arizona. So some interesting stuff yesterday from Mike Vrabel. Other than the Julio thing, anything in particular stand out with Vrabel yesterday at his press conference?
See, now I'm trying to – I thought that the Fulton thing was sort of a question. Was that not a question about just the overall defense struggling?
It was, but then he started talking about, Christian Fulton playing well.
Yeah. It was sort of – I guess I took it as a counter to like, well, it wasn't all bad. Yeah, that's right. He was basically asked about if he thought that there was enough challenging. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk about, are they going to press more? Are they going to challenge more, in critical downs? And then he got into Christian Fulton. So, yeah, there wasn't a ton out of that. I mean, it was fine. Talked about the Seahawks a little bit, and the idea of getting punched. Steve Layman asked him about, is there a good thing about this, about being like punched in the face or whatever you want to call it? And it was an interesting answer. He's like, well, it's hard to answer that because you don't want to lose. Like you don't go out seeking these things, but obviously you hope to have the right reaction. But yeah, mostly the Julio thing is what I'll tell you that like I got a email or a Slack from an editor. It's like, well, we're going to write something up about this. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, it was an interesting quote. There's a lot of interest in this story and this quote. I mean, it's one of those things, and I think a lot of it is from Falcons fans.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. Falcons fans hate watching the Titans this year. Their team is terrible. It's going to be terrible. And they hate watching the Titans and Julio Jones this year. So already today, we heard Keyshawn and Jay Well talking about this. There's going to be, I think, quite a bit of this today.
So speaking of Julio Jones and this Titans offense, it all revolves around one guy that's got to put all these pieces together and make it work. And we'll get to that more coming up next. Not a good debut for Todd Downing on Sunday against the Arizona Cardinals. What's fair? What is unfair when it comes to Todd Downing this season and this offense? We'll get to that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bobus. A few isolated showers and weak thunderstorms this afternoon into this evening with no severe weather. Hot and a little bit humid once again. High temperatures in the upper 80s near 90 degrees. A little bit cooler, lower 80s going into tomorrow.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing.
The summer clearance sale at Social Furniture, where all furniture is reduced in every department. Designer sofas from $5.99 and leather sofas from $7.99. Queen bedroom sets with queen bed, dresser, and mirror from $11.99. They come in solid, cherry, oak, and gray. Casual 5-piece dining room sets starting at $3.99, and formal dining sets starting at $5.99. Sealy, Stearns & Foster, Simmons, Serta, and Purple Mattress, all sizes on sale.
Social Furniture on the west side is place independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box stores. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you. Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. The biggest game this Sunday is the Chiefs and the Ravens, and FanDuel Sportsbook is about to make it even bigger because FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. That means that you can end the weekend right by winning $150 on a $5 bet. I would have to roll with the Chiefs. FanDuel is America's #1 rated sportsbook app, and it's easy to use with safe and secure fast payouts in as little as 24 hours. FanDuel is sports betting made simple, and they're always hooking you up with great offers. Just sign up with the promo code JGM this Sunday before the Chiefs take on the Ravens, and you could win $150 on a $5 bet. Remember to use promo code JGM so they know that I sent you exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in a designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line. 1-800-889-9789.
Goodyear believes in the power of moving forward. No matter if it's on the track, the court, or the field, movement makes us want to be more. It pushes us to go further, to show the world what we can do. Movement has the unique ability to change our perspective, to challenge us, to work for a better tomorrow. Movement can even bring us together when we're still. Because if we're focused on the next move, we don't have to worry about what's behind us. Goodyear, more driven.
Darren McFarland.
That should get you in the mood for a game tonight.
Willie Donick.
I think between 5.5 and 6 is probably in the ballpark.
Chase McCabe.
Typically, I like to take the most difficult task and do it first.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
You know, it's always going to be something. It's one guy in a run game, right? We get started and we miss one guy. Or, you know, we don't have the perfect call. There is no perfect call. And we have to, as players and coaches, not think that it's going to be perfect. It's going to look dirty. And guys and as coaches, we're going to have to give them enough confidence and trust to go do their job, whether it's a look that they've seen or not seen. So when you review the game, there's always going to be, man, I wish I had that call back. I wish. And we don't get that luxury, so we have to improve and hopefully get going in drives and get the first down so that the plays that we do call can begin to complement the ones that we have called and will continue to call, and that you get into a rhythm, going 3 and out, and being behind on the chains and having negative plays make it difficult.
That was Titans head coach Mike Vrabel yesterday at his press conference discussing kind of the rhythm of the play calling and how the Titans really never got going on that front on Sunday against Arizona. And, Joe, if I remember correctly, a lot of that kind of stemmed from a question about the play-action passing game. And I think Vrabel's original comment was, well, it's hard to play action when it's 3rd and 12 every time. And then went into that answer about how kind of everything leads to another in terms of, you know, if you're running the ball effectively to begin the game, or if that's at least a threat and you're moving the ball systematically down the field and have some rhythm to your offense, your playbook expands and the options that you have at that point expands. When that's not happening, it's difficult to be as creative as you want to be from a play calling standpoint. What did you make of that response yesterday? And how fairly or unfairly do you think it is that there are already some pretty harsh opinions out there about Todd Downing after one game with this offense?
Well, look, I mean, I think it's fair to have a harsh opinion about that game.
Sure.
So, and I think it's really fair to have a harsh opinion about that game offensively. And if the entire operation is that bad, then how do you not look at the offensive coordinator? Now, I've got a mailbag this week, and I got when will the coordinators be fired question. Okay, so yes. Now there's slightly crossed over into overreaction territory. Okay, so I mean I think that there's a fair area here where you can say, man, that was just a bad game. And how could Todd Downing, and we'll have him this week, look at that game and say, man, I did a really good job, and it just, just the players just screwed it up. Now, I would also say, and he won't say this, but if you can't block anyone, and it is hard to be an effective offensive coordinator on a particular Sunday.
Yes.
You also need to adjust to things and, not have a situation. I'll keep going back to this. When a guy's having one of the great pass rushing days ever, not have Kendall Lamb block him one-on-one in an obvious passing down. There's a thought. There's some things in there where it's like,
yeah,
yes, there's always the stuff with OCs where we all think we can be an OC, and every play that doesn't work, you should have done this. You ran, you got stuff, you should have passed. You threw an incomplete pass. Oh, you got Derrick Henry. I mean, it's very easy to nitpick and second-guess all this stuff. I get that. And, I hear what Vrabel's saying, 2nd and 12, yeah, you're not going to play action. But you could play action on 1st and 10.
Yep.
You could do it on 1st down, right? I'm a huge lover of passing on 1st down, especially if you have a good running game. And I feel like Arthur Smith did a nice job of mixing that up. You establish it. You keep sticking with the run. But you are not predictable. And I'll tell you, in the press box when they lined up for their 3rd series, it was there's no way he's going to run Derrick Henry in the line again on 1st down, right? And then he did, and he lost a yard or lost 2 yards or whatever.
Well, even the first series, I had a little side bet with my buddy. I was like, the first play the Titans run this year, it's going to be a play-action pass. Because everybody's looking at Derrick Henry, and I saw the first play, I was like, Arizona's really up in the box. They're going to get burned on a play-action pass. And there's just a little handoff. -4 yards.
Yeah, and again, I think that was Chandler Jones right there, right? Chandler Jones not blocked by Taylor Lewan. So if you're advocating for the OC, you can say, well, gee, you sure hope that your Pro Bowl left tackle can block their guy so that you can make a play and be ahead of the chains. Again, we're talking about 3 series here where you ran the ball and it was kind of predictable and you're behind the chains. I just thought, overall, if you get beat like that, again, you just have to look at it and say, what could you have done wrong? Not just this play or that play, like Vrabel's saying, I wish I had this call back or that call back. I do look at these 2 receivers and think that, just getting the ball to them quickly seems like a good idea, especially if you're struggling to protect. Obviously, you'd like to run the ball. You'd like play action. You'd like vertical shots, all the things that come off that. But when you're struggling like that, then I think we saw a little bit of it with A.J. Brown in particular. Just, give him some quick access throws and let him do work with the ball and with a little bit of space.
Just think about the Buffalo game last year, right? You're coming off of dealing with COVID. You had to push the game back. You're playing on a Tuesday, and you don't have a full roster. Arthur Smith did that a lot. Yeah, they got the ball to Derrick Henry, but a lot of the game, it was 3-step drop. There's A.J. Brown. See what you can do after the catch. Sometimes it's requiring your offensive coordinator to read and react to what's going on in the game. Not necessarily, I realize there are scripted plays, and there's a game plan that you've got heading in there, and you don't want to abandon that too early. But when you get into a game and something's not working and you can't protect your quarterback, you got to adjust quickly. And I don't feel like the Titans did a very good job of adjusting on Sunday.
Right. I agree. And I also, on the defense side, maybe the lack of practice time and even with the offensive line, you didn't get Nate Davis and Ben Jones until midweek. Maybe that limited some of your catalog of stuff that you felt good about that you would put in the game plan that you would repped because, that's what you have. You have a game plan and then you have a catalog. You don't just have a playbook and say, let's just pick this play. Now we'll just pick that play. You're going with plays that you worked on. There were some moments in that game when, Julio and AJ, it looked like they were gassed at one point, but I think there were some plays in that game too where they weren't out there because they had certain plays that they had worked on without them maybe. It kind of looked that way to me. And also in defense, again, not just the fact that Ben Jones and Nate Davis just got off the COVID list last week. Before that, they missed so much of camp for injury. So there's a lot of this offense that was just not – that did not work together. And it was – I mean, looking back, I guess it's kind of predictable that there would be some hiccups. You just kind of thought maybe the talent would overwhelm that. It didn't. But I just don't think Todd Downing put his players in good enough positions to have success in this game. It's one game. And I know Raiders fans, just like the Falcons fans, are hate watching Julio. Raiders fans are ready to say, "I told you so." It's one game. It's a big week for him, though.
It's a big week, and a big week to respond if you're Todd Downing and this offense. Some moves made by the Titans yesterday. Michael Pruitt added to the active roster. Michael Badgley waived yesterday by the Tennessee Titans. So here we are, 1 week into the season, Joe Rexrode, and the kicking carousel that really feels like an annual tradition at this point has begun once again for the Titans.
Yeah, so who's next?
I mean,
who's out there?
I mean, Steven Gostkowski's out there.
Stevie G.
Yeah. Randy Bullock.
Play the saxophone for Stevie G. Bring him in. What's that?
Randy Bullock.
Well, so he's the practice squad call-up, potentially. Gosh, it seems like there would be some, even if it's not Gostkowski, is there not someone out there?
I don't know, man. This is why you have to make kicker a priority in the offseason, so you don't go through stuff like this. Now, look, I realize you can't anticipate Sam Ficken getting hurt in practice Friday before the
Tucker
game.
McCann getting hurt.
I realize that. But you're also talking about, in Tucker McCann's case, a guy that's never kicked a ball in the NFL before. How you're confident about him being the NFL kicker is a little bit beyond me.
Yeah, but then how do you ever have a young kicker who comes along and becomes your kicker? I mean, at some point you have to say, well, let's see that we think he's good and he's going to be the kicker. And I think that's what was going to happen with Tucker McCann. Now, again, you're right, you don't know, but if the criticism, and it's fair, is you got to find a long-term kicker, you're probably not going to find like a 3-year starter who was great somewhere who now you can grab. You have to take a chance on someone.
Well, I hear you, but this is now a 3-year problem with the Titans. So it still feels like going through and hoping that Tucker McCann, like Corey Curtis said yesterday, in the third year of this, hoping that Tucker McCann or Sam Ficken is going to be the thing that works out for you, tells me that you don't see it as a huge priority. It's been a problem the last 2 years. And here we are in week 1, it's already a problem for you again.
Yeah, the problem, the real problem is just the thing that all went down with Suckup, because he should be your kicker right now and you'd be in great shape. I mean, I guess like last year you signed what had to be the biggest sure thing of available veterans that you could possibly do, right? I mean, you can't. I mean, Steven Gostkowski is an all-time great kicker. So you went that route, and this year you were going this is our guy. We've been working with him for 2 years, or 2 camps, and then you get hit with bad luck. I don't know that I buy that they don't think it's important, but they've tried different strategies. I think that in 2019 they just made a couple bad decisions. One, Suckup coming back too early, and then giving up on him.
He looks pretty good right there.
That's the critical mistake.
I would like to go back and revisit exactly what happened there. I think it was clear he tried to come back from injury too early, but was that enough to think that he was just done at that point? Because he looks awfully good right now.
I mean, he's an example of, track record kind of tells you, right?
Yeah.
Something more than the short term.
Sure be nice to have Ryan Suckup right now. Feel pretty good about kicking.
But then it's amazing when you go through the list of guys from that year.
I know.
There's several you'd also would be fine with right now.
Exactly.
I mean, like
Cairo Santos.
There's some, but that's the thing. I mean, the dude goes 0 for 4 on that day, and it's like, okay, move on.
Yeah.
It's been some bad luck, bad decisions. I mean, this latest thing is, it's almost like it's like the Ravens here this season. It's like the Titans the last 3 years with kicker.
Shout out to whatever team picks up Michael Badgley now. Probably be like a 10-year starter.
Right.
He is 1 week with the Titans.
Yeah, if you come here, then you go somewhere else, you're going to be amazing.
When we come back, we'll switch gears, get a little bit deeper into the Vols game against Pittsburgh. What happened, and what do the Vols do now at the quarterback position as they move forward? We'll get into all that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Your speaker at home is so smart that even Alexa knows where to find Nashville's best sports talk.
102.5 The Game is Nashville's best sports talk.
Ask Alexa to enable 102.5 The Game. Once enabled, ask Alexa to play 102.5 The Game.
Welcome to 102.5 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Fiero Tequila Habanero is for those who enjoy the flavor of spice, naturally infused with fresh, vine-ripened peppers from farmers in the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico. Fiero Tequila Habanero is unapologetically the spiciest infused tequila available in the U.S. The hand-picked habaneros provide a delicious kick to the smooth Blanco tequila. It's a flavor punch that's perfect as a shot or a spicy way to spice up your hard seltzer, or perfect for a fiery cocktail. Available at fine liquor stores and your favorite drinking establishments. Fiero Tequila, the world belongs to the brave.
Want a world-class designer engagement ring but think you'll pay more for it? Not at Genesis Diamonds.
People ask all the time, am I spending more money just to get the designer name? And I can tell you unequivocally, no.
Genesis Diamonds Vice President Wendy Canavan.
What you're getting is better made jewelry, a better made engagement ring.
So at Genesis, you don't have to make or settle for a knockoff mass-produced ring. You can get a handcrafted masterpiece from designers like Tacori, Verragio, Henry Dossi, Kirk Cara, the names on every woman's wish list.
They're just better made. The people who design these rings are truly artists. They're not some backroom jeweler knocking off a ring.
And don't be fooled by people who say you will overpay.
We have beautiful engagement rings starting at $795, designer made.
Genesis Diamonds. It's easy to find the ring of her dreams without having to compromise.
You don't want people to say, oh, your ring's okay. You want people to say, wow.
Genesis Diamonds, voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring year after year. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Stay Golden, a locally owned and operated restaurant and roastery that serves breakfast, brunch, and lunch with a full coffee and liquor bar. Stay Golden does it right with scratch-made biscuits, locally sourced food, and handcrafted cocktails. They even source and roast their own coffee. Open 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and Saturday and Sunday from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Right in the heart of the Design District in Berry Hill, 2934 Sidco Drive. Stay-golden.com to find out more.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and Week 1 may be over, but the season's just getting started. At DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off Week 2, DraftKings is giving all new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $1 on any football game this week and receive $200 in free bets instantly, no matter what. That's right, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new customers $200 in free bets instantly when they bet at least $1 on any football game. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use that promo code 1025GAME and receive $200 in free bets when you place $1 bet on any football game. That code again, 1025GAME. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook, you must be 21 years of age or older. Tennessee only. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ-HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live. It's Robby and Rexrode with Robby Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, hour number 2 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Robby and Rexrode presented by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. And Joe Rexrode, a tough loss over the weekend for the Tennessee Volunteers. They fall 41-34 to Pittsburgh in a really good game at times, and a really sloppy game at other times as well. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, but between the missed opportunities in the passing game, especially early in the game, some bad calls along the way, and a lot of penalties for Tennessee on Saturday as well. We talked against about the Bowling Green game, how smooth things went operationally. That was not the case on Saturday for Tennessee. Lots of penalties, lots of boneheaded penalties for Tennessee on Saturday. What did you make overall of the Vols performance? And if you're a Tennessee fan and you were in Neyland Stadium watching that game, what's your main takeaway with a loss against a Pittsburgh team who I think is a pretty good team, while also kind of realizing that there were some plays left to be made on the table by Tennessee that they probably should have won that game, and they didn't do it?
I think it's a great example of just how you look at things, because you can definitely lament the missed opportunities, especially early, to really take advantage. The Pittsburgh team was ambushed right away. You get the block punt, which is something that you had seen. You'd done a good job of scouting that. You just were in great position to build a lead, and you couldn't make the plays to do it. And then, like you said, the penalties were bad. And look, we look at penalties both ways. That's a disciplined or an undisciplined team, and I think that's a problem. That's something that Heupel's got to address. But then you could also look at it like, well, Pittsburgh's good, and this team is so much more fun to watch. And even the defense, though Kenny Pickett tore it up for a while, you actually got 4 3-and-outs in the second half. You got 2 in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
To give your offense a chance a couple times, to come back and tie the game. So I think it's just very much how you look at it, and can you keep in perspective, one, what you were last year. I mean, just watchability to me means a lot. Maybe to like Vols fans, like, yeah, but I just want to win. So I get that. But then also in perspective of who you played. I mean, we'll see. We'll see with Pittsburgh. I think they're going to have a pretty good year. I think they're like an 8-win fringe top 25 kind of team. Maybe I'm wrong, and it's not going to give you a lot of comfort if that's true, but that would have been a big, big win early and a chance to be 3-0 going to what is a primetime game, by the way, in Gainesville in a couple weeks.
Yeah, primetime game down in the Swamp coming up in a couple of weeks, and it's interesting. We'll get a little bit more into the offensive side of things here in just a few minutes, but you give up 41 points. I watched Jeremy Banks play linebacker and think to myself, there's no way he should be on the field for Tennessee, and yet he is, and that's the position that they're in at linebacker right now. So that's going to be a problem for Tennessee all year, and it just is. That's a problem that right now from a roster standpoint they're just not in a position to overcome, and Josh Heupel's going to have to recruit his butt off at the middle linebacker position. But I will say, I mean, I came away from that game from a couple of guys defensively thinking to myself, they've got a chance to kind of get better and improve. Theo Jackson, to me, has gotten a lot better. Theo Jackson looks like a really good player for Tennessee. And,
he's flying around.
He's been there for a while now, and, he's been okay at times. But Theo Jackson looks to me like the heart and soul of that defense right now, and I thought he played really well once again against Pittsburgh. After, a strong game against Bowling Green that's really tough to judge.
Yeah. No, he was flying around. I mean, look, Tyler Barron is a different player this year than last year. And he was a problem. He got hurt. That's something to watch.
Very weirdly got hurt. Just standing on the line of scrimmage got hurt.
Yeah, he just sort of fell down. So then it was like, was it cramps?
I don't
know, but they obviously need him. But, I mean, he's been impactful. Elijah Simmons, you still feel like runs out of gas, But I feel like overall, I think Tim Banks has done a pretty good job. You got some limitations there, and you got better opponents coming for sure. But there's reasons to be optimistic. It's just like when you look at the bottom line, you look at some of the games that they're just not going to be in.
Yeah,
that's just one of those swing games on the schedule, and you figured it was going in. Like you knew it was probably going to be a close game. That you can point to several things that you did that are just like mistakes you can't make in a game that could have swung the outcome. And, of course, some of that is also just flat out throw to the wide open receiver and let him score the touchdown.
And that did not happen on Saturday against Pittsburgh. Joe Milton, and we touched on it a little bit yesterday, but, I mean, you get the start of the game, it's a punt block. You got a handoff to Jabari Small from the 2, and it's a touchdown. You're feeling pretty good about the way things are going. I want to say if it wasn't the first play of the next drive, it was like the second or third play of the next drive was when Joe Milton unleashed that missile where it was like literally 70 yards in the air over the shoulder to Jalen Hyatt. There's a collision in the end zone. Hyatt drops the ball, he gets hurt on the play, didn't come back in the game. It was a holding penalty anyway, so it wouldn't have counted. But, I mean, that was not only was that the best throw I've ever seen Joe Milton make, that was one of the best throws I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it was unbelievable how good of a throw that was. So you're thinking to yourself, all right, well, maybe Joe Milton's kind of figured out the deep ball a little bit. And then the ensuing drives, literally 4 opportunities to hit a wide-open receiver, streaking down to the end zone for a touchdown, and overthrew every single one of them. I mean, it's hard to do.
The Jover throws got a little bit intense. And I think you almost –
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I think you don't throw the bomb with him unless you're, like, inside your own 30, you know? Like, if you're near midfield or beyond that, just all short stuff. If you're way buried in your own territory, like, just max protect and send, like one receiver out. And just eventually he's going to get separation and just let him throw it straight up.
I told my brother, we were watching the game, I said, instead of like a 7-step drop for Joe Milton, take like a 21-step drop. Just get back there and throw the ball.
No, it's so funny. I think it was Mike Wilson said that in the press box too. Just like take the snap and just run as fast as you can the other way. And then you have no worry about pressure and you turn around and now it'll work out perfectly, you know? Yeah, but it's too bad because again, I think what's lost in that is I thought that he was good in areas he wasn't good in against Bowling Green.
Yep.
I thought he saw the field. There were a few times where he went through his reads and he went second or third guy. And again, when he needed to just make a regular throw, he's firing it in there accurately, on time. And then then he has the big run. Like it was all like there was a lot to like about what he did, other than like Pittsburgh just makes it like here it is again. Oh, here it is again. Like very few defenses are going to give you that many of those, but that's what they do.
Yeah.
And I mean, if this was probably a Narduzzi dream, he would never say this, but he probably wishes Milton stayed in the game because it's perfectly what he does. That you throw that perfectly then. Now, there are plenty of quarterbacks who would have scored touchdowns on Pittsburgh early in that game. So it's too bad. It's the total focus of Joe Milton, why a lot of people want him to not be the quarterback. I'm not convinced that that's the right move.
I'm not convinced of it either. I mean, look, I see Joe Milton and the tools that he brings to the table, and I understand why he was the starter. Like, I understand what Josh Heupel sees, and if he puts it together, I think he's far and away the best option they have at quarterback. The problem is, like, how long can you wait for Joe Milton to start to connect on some of these passes? Like, the arm talent is great, and being able to throw the ball 75 yards in the air without breaking a sweat is great. But eventually you have to hit your receiver. And if there's no progress in hitting the receiver down the field, like, he can't be the quarterback. Like, you can't just miss on these every time. And so far, he's missed on these every time.
Yeah, I mean, you got to take a certain amount of gimmies that are there for you. You have to. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. You can work on touch. You can try to take something off it. You can just put more loft on it. It's easy to say. But when you're out there and people are trying to tackle you and you have to make a snap decision,
well,
how you throw is kind of how you throw.
And it's got to be in his head now too, right? I mean, you've overthrown enough at this point. And by the Cedric Tillman one on Saturday, which there was nobody from Pittsburgh on that side of the field with Cedric Tillman. I mean, he was wide open. He could have walked into the end zone. And he overthrows him, and all of Neyland starts booing. I mean, it's got to be in your head at this point if you're Joe Milton too.
See, that was one of those plays where, he threw it like he threw that pass as if you needed to go over a defender, but actually, if he just throw your fastball
to him,
just throw it right to him, and he'll score. Again, very very easy to say from afar, but it's an interesting thing because Heupel brought him, and I do see all the things, and you could have 2 more years after this of Joe Milton. So how much do you think about it in terms of, well, look, unfinished product, but so much potential, and long term this is going to pay off to stick with him? or how much you say, well, right now Hendon Hooker just gives us a little bit better chance, does some things that Milton just doesn't do consistently enough, and you're trying to scratch out everyone you can scratch out this year.
So with that being said, what does Josh Heupel and Tennessee do at the quarterback position as they move forward here, especially once SEC play begins in a couple of weeks against Florida? Is it Joe Milton? Is it Hendon Hooker? Are we going to see Harrison Bailey at any point? We'll take your thoughts as well on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. That's next. Right now, though, got to tell you about my friends at FanDuel Sportsbook, and the biggest game this Sunday is Chiefs and the Ravens, and FanDuel Sportsbook is about to make it even bigger because FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win, and that means you can end the weekend right by winning $150 on a $5 bet. Personally, I'm going with Kansas City in this matchup. I was impressed with Patrick Mahomes and the comeback on Sunday, and Patrick Mahomes undefeated in the month of September in his career. So that's what I'm going, but you take it any way you want to take it. When you win, you'll get paid in as little as 24 hours, and you can see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. So just sign up with promo code ROB this Sunday before the Chiefs take on the Ravens, and you could win $150 on a $5 bet. Remember to use promo code ROB so they know that I sent you exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. A $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus of $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Hang out with us every weekday starting at 6 a.m. with Robby and Rexrode.
Limping off the field. I can confirm he was limping off the field.
Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2.
Wouldn't say it deserves a gold star. We want people to play along.
This is what's crazy.
And Stillman and Company from 2 to 6.
I want to go last. Can I go last? Sure.
Watch live on Periscope, Twitch, and YouTube. Tune in anytime on the Game Nashville app or your home speaker. This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
Indeed believes less is more. That's why they have powerful tools to help you source, screen, and hire quality people faster. Learn more at Indeed.com/credit.
Now's the time to get a great deal on select Kubota compact tractors. Rated #1 for reliability in the under 100 horsepower category, they're designed for easy operation and feature performance-matched attachments. Right now, put 0 down and get 0% APR for 84 months, plus save up to $1,400. Now through December 31st. See us or go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Ever heard of a cold-like virus called RSV? RSV can cause complications in older adults, including pneumonia. The Evergreen study is assessing if an investigational study vaccine can prevent RSV disease caused by a respiratory syncytial virus in older adults. If you're 60 years of age or older, you may be able to join the Evergreen study. Visit clinicalresearchassociates.com/RSV to learn more. That's clinicalresearchassociates.com/RSV.
312 Pizza Company is Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria, and they're now hiring. Work for a family-owned business and be a part of their incredible team. 312 Pizza Company is hiring for all positions, including host, waitstaff, bartenders, cooks, and more. 312 Pizza Company offers health insurance and pay time off to full-time employees. Contact Kimberly at 615-730-7888 or email at contact@312pizzaco.com. 312 is an equal opportunity employer.
We're short of PCO today. Let's try to stay on schedule.
New customers have Emery's exterminator business buzzing. She needs new specialists to tackle a swarm of appointments.
Norwegian tree mouse. That's a first.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. With Indeed Instant Match, we immediately show you quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed meet your sponsored job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Interact with Robby and Rexrode. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Silly Underdog Picks is back. Get your friends or family and play as a group and sign up to play today. Pick the 3 football underdog teams that you think will win each week for a chance to win weekly prizes like a pair of tickets to a sporting event or to a concert in Nashville. Go to thegamenashville.com or the ESPN The Game Nashville mobile app and sign up and play now. Silly Underdogs is presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, presented by Volunteer State Bank, conveniently serving Middle Tennessee with 13 locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. We'll have our good friend Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel join us at 7:30 to continue the conversation on the Vols. Right now, talking quarterback position for the Vols. Taking your thoughts on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. So, Joe, I thought Hendon Hooker, when he got in the game on Saturday, came in, did some nice things. He can run the ball very well. They changed the passing game up a little bit. I think they took maybe 1 or 2 deep shots down the field with Hendon Hooker, but more of a kind of a horizontal passing game with some bubble screens and some intermediate routes that were incorporated with Hendon Hooker in at quarterback. You know, some good, some bad. The interception to end the game, not a great play by Hendon Hooker. But I came away from that game thinking, okay, there's some competence there, and that Hendon Hooker, I feel like, knows the playbook. He can bring you a certain element in the run game that I think is a weapon for this Tennessee offense. And I would kind of describe it like this. I came away thinking the safe option for Tennessee at quarterback is Hendon Hooker. He is safer. I think there is a certain baseline of play that Hendon Hooker is going to bring you that you feel okay about, and that maybe you're not going to make critical mistakes left and right with Hendon Hooker as your quarterback. I still think if Tennessee is going to find a way to sneak up and maybe be competitive with a Florida or hang in there with a Georgia for a half or an Alabama for 3/4 or whatever the case may be, it would require a Joe Milton playing out of his mind. Like, I feel like Joe Milton's upside is what would keep Tennessee in a game like that. I don't know if they can hang around in a game like that with Hendon Hooker at quarterback.
Well, if that's the case, then I think you go with Joe Milton. I guess I would wonder, well, what if Hendon Hooker went nuts? What if he's just on point? And granted, he's not going to give you the drop back at your own 20 and you can hit the end zone.
Yeah.
But I actually really like how he ran the ball. He is definitely faster than Joe Milton, more
Sure.
elusive, little change of direction. Now, granted, when Joe Milton gets going, no one wants to try to tackle him. But I like that element. And you're right, the type of passing game change. I almost feel like Pittsburgh, because Milton was out, got a little less aggressive because they were like, you got to prove to me you can make that throw, Joe Milton.
Yep.
And maybe, I'm sure they had Hooker scouted a little bit. Hooker had some real nice touch when he did once or twice, at least once. He threw sort of a vertical shot that was a very, very nice touch in the pass. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's like, with Hooker, you also could have another year. I mean, I know that you have to think about now, and it's in the moment, and you're trying to win games. But I also do think about, as you try to start to build something, what is your, what's your future at the position? And again, like this is essentially, this could be considered Joe Milton, even though he has a degree from college, his sophomore year. Now, Hooker has another one after this because of the COVID year. Does that factor into this at all? Would it factor into this for you if you were Josh Heupel?
Well, I think it has to factor in to some degree because right now I think one of the strengths of your offense is you've got a quarterback room that you feel good about, right? I mean, we've not even seen Harrison Bailey on the field yet.
Who would probably be just like not missing a pass.
Well, could be. I mean, if you ask Tennessee fans, Harrison Bailey is like second coming of Peyton Manning.
Clearly the best option.
Right. But I say that to say, like, I watched Harrison Bailey play last year, and I wasn't blown away. But I feel like if Harrison Bailey had to come in and play, Tennessee's offense just wouldn't be totally screwed. Mm-hmm. Like I think he could play.
Yeah.
So you've got a quarterback room that you feel good about. You want to keep that together as best as possible. Now, to me, like, there's no way all three of those guys are going to be there next year. Like, if Harrison Bailey doesn't play this year, he's going to leave. Like, I wouldn't blame him for leaving at that point. So I think you've got to know, if you're Josh Heupel going into this, that at least one of these guys is not coming back. So I think you've got to know that heading in. If you feel like Hooker and Milton are the best two guys, then I honestly wouldn't mind seeing both of them play. I really wouldn't. Like, I said it. Joe Milton, to me, by far, has the best upside. And if he could start to connect on some of these passes downfield, I don't think it's all that close. Like, I think he is by far the best option at quarterback. But if you go game after game and you're just missing passes left and right, at some point, your upside's not good enough. Like, you have to be able to connect on some of these passes because, and we saw this a little bit with Jimmy Callaway, I think Tennessee has some weapons at wide receiver. And I think their wide receiver core that they have right now, number one, it's really young, but it's really fast. And I think they've got as good a weapons at wide receiver as they've had in a long time. And you got to find a way to get the ball in those hands. So if it's not going to be Milton on the deep pass, you got to go with the guy that can complete the ball. I would kind of like to see Hendon Hooker start coming up this weekend. Now, again, it's Tennessee Tech this weekend. I don't know how much you're going to learn against Tennessee Tech, but if it's played out the way it's played out so far, I might start Hooker against Florida.
Well, another element here is Heupel was asked yesterday about Milton's health, and he said, "I don't know."
Yeah.
I was like, wait, you don't know? You just don't want to tell us.
Yeah, that's what I say. You know.
But again, that answer, it's not like this is the week that you're going to play games. I mean, you're playing Tennessee Tech, so that answer tells you that maybe it might be out of his hands anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe Milton can't go this week, in which case it's here's now if Hooker lets up Tennessee Tech, does that mean absolutely okay? Well, then I think it'd probably be hard to take it away from him if he plays really well and you're going into the swamp. But if Milton is available, I would definitely play both of them. I mean, it's not that it's like necessarily an audition. They've both played, but you just had to, like, what have you done for me lately? What's your performance? How are you reacting to this? I mean, I think there's a good chance that whoever emerges of those two, the other guy could be gone. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, if Hooker ends up just sitting back down, I don't think he's draftable. I wouldn't think so.
No.
So he's probably looks for another home to try to get better and have a chance to start and play somewhere maybe a little bit lower level next year. And then the flip side of that is, I mean, look, like Milton, I did a piece on Milton with his camp and sort of like he might be in the NFL after this year. I don't think that's the case. I mean, I think we've seen enough right now that I'd be surprised if he were in demand in the NFL after this year. Now, there's a lot of season to go. Maybe he puts it all together, and he is. But I would not want to lose him. And that's where it's really tricky. But that's how quarterback rooms are these days. It's almost like you should just plan on like a quarterback separated by a class, I mean, you're going to recruit a quarterback in every class, but that like if you go over a 4-year cycle, like 2 of them are going to be somewhere else within a couple of years.
Let's go to the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Got a texter that says, Joe, you got the wrong Big Ten quarterback. We got the right one. This coming from Marty in Big Blue Nation. Will Levis, transferring from Penn State.
Oh.
I love you, Marty.
Ooh, Will Levis looks good.
And why he's calling out you getting the wrong quarterback. You did not bring in Joe Milton.
I did
Tennessee.
not.
Although you do like some Joe Milton.
I mean, I
like Joe Milton.
He's fun to watch. Yeah. I mean,
look. Joe Milton throwing one pass was more fun to watch than anything Tennessee threw out there at quarterback last year.
Exactly, and he's an unfinished product, and I don't know. There's a lot of people that say, look, if you have those kind of accuracy issues, it's kind of like a jump shooter at this age. Can you really change your form? Can you really build accuracy that much at this stage? I don't know. I mean, I think Josh Allen would be an example of someone that I feel like has done that in the NFL.
Yep.
But, man, when Milton, again, some of these intermediate throws with the velocity and accuracy that he throws them with, I think there's a lot to like about what he can do. I just don't know if you can fix right now what he doesn't do well.
We'll continue the conversation on the Tennessee quarterback position and look ahead to the game against Tennessee Tech, and fast forward maybe a couple of weeks to the Swamp as well with Adam Sparks coming up next from the Knoxville News Sentinel. All that next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Titans, Seahawks. The Two-Tone Blues seeks a Week 2 victory in hostile territory. Tune in Sunday at 1 for NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard. Live from Corner Pub in Cool Springs. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Join compassion and give hope to a family in extreme poverty. Share your $40 one-time gift when you text the word GIVE to 83393.
It's not just about being in your community. It's about being your community. Come experience the all-new state-of-the-art Volunteer State Bank, second Murfreesboro location at 2019 Memorial Boulevard. Volunteer State Bank offers personalized services like banking for professionals, free Kasasa checking, the convenience of mobile banking, and the money you need when you need it. Visit one of our 13 locations or online at ballstatebank.com. Real people, real solutions, right here. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The Electronic Express famous half-price fair is going on now. Save up to 50% in every department. Incredible savings on 4K TVs, appliances, computers, speakers and headphones, smart home, and more. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. You won't find a lower price anywhere. We guarantee it. The Electronic Express famous half-price fair is first come, first served. Ends Saturday at 9 p.m. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Paul Feinbaum here for the Southeast leader for cranes and equipment rental, CraneWorks. The CraneWorks team in Nashville, Birmingham, and Mobile is ready to make your next construction or maintenance project a big success. Give CraneWorks a call for your next lift, machinery moving, or rigging project. And don't forget, RentalWorks has a full line of rental equipment for jobs, both big and small, and now offering qualified operators for all equipment, including aerial and earth-moving equipment. Call CraneWorks at 877-282-LIFT or visit them on the web at craneworks.com.
Week 1 may be over, but the season's just getting started at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off Week 2, DraftKings is giving all new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $1 on any football game this week and receive $200 in free bets instantly, no matter what. That's right, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new customers $200 in free bets instantly when they bet at least $1 on any football game. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure, making it easy for you to deposit and withdraw your money at your convenience. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code PLAY to receive $200 in free bets when you place a $1 bet on any football game. That's code PLAY. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Must be 21 or older. Tennessee only. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
At CDW, we get the path of progress is complicated, but CDW Amplified Services experts can collaborate with you, develop roadmaps, handle deployment, and manage your environment so you can achieve your goals faster than you thought possible. From implementing advanced cybersecurity techniques to optimizing your multi-cloud environment, we'll help you design, orchestrate, and manage the solutions your organization needs so we reach the finish line together, but you get all the glory. CDW Amplified Services. People who get it. Find out more at cdw.com/services.
This Saturday,
touchdown OU! Score for Nebraska!
Old rivals renew acquaintances in Norman when the Oklahoma Sooners host the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Pre-game at 10:30, kickoff at 11
on ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, this is David Price. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, presented by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember, FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Talking Vols. And to help us do that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel. Adam, what's going on, brother? How we doing?
Hey guys, I had more questions for you guys. What happened to the Titans? I'm used to watching Central Time Titans. I turned on Eastern Time Titans, and they look like a different team. I thought I maybe got a different feed out here in Knoxville.
Wait. You voluntarily watch football? So
Well,
Bev made you watch it?
Yeah. The wife had it on, and I watched it. But I woke up this morning to all the Manning cast stuff, and I had no idea what that was.
Oh, it was so good.
It was pretty good.
It was good.
Yeah, Adam, that was quite the display that the Titans put on at Nissan Stadium on Saturday. But very, very level-headed and calm response to it as well on our text line, as you could imagine.
Oh, I'm sure. I can only imagine.
Well, your old beat is the toast of football in the state right now.
Well,
Vanderbilt's the only team that did its job this weekend.
That's another one of those where I saw the beginning and I thought, okay, it's just decided. I'm not going to watch a game at 2 a.m, and I guess I should have because it was a different game at 2 a.m.
Well, that's for sure. Adam, what stood out to you for Tennessee in the loss against Pittsburgh? A high-scoring affair, some big moments for Tennessee in the game, lots of penalties in the game. What was your takeaway from the Vols' loss against the Panthers on Saturday?
Well, I mean, let's just get straight to the quarterbacks because that's topic 1, 2, and 3, I think. Obviously, if Joe Milton connects, 2 of those 5 or 6 missed deep balls early on, Tennessee probably has about a 14, 17-point lead. They hold that and they win. And that's the easy takeaway for fans, and I think it's somewhat an easy takeaway for us. I think that sort of the minutia of the quarterback conversation has to go to what we can see from the outside and what's seen from the inside. I'll give you an example. Those deep passes that were missed are obvious to all 80+ thousand people in Neyland and us in the press box too. It's the ultimate coach temptation. It's the guy that can drive the ball a mile but can't chip it. It's the guy that can do everything on the basketball court but can't make a free throw. It's the guy that can do what the rest of us can't, but for some reason can't do the simple thing that we think we can. And that's why it infuriates people that Joe Milton couldn't complete those. But then if you look at the 4th down play that they failed at late with Hendon Hooker, a lot of what we were getting at least hints of yesterday, talking to some of the players and even Heupel, was that the miscommunication there had something to do with the quarterback with Hooker in. They ran that play earlier in the game and succeeded on it. I think, in fact, that may have been the Jabari Small touchdown. With Milton in the game, communication was fine. When Hooker was in the game, the communication was poor. It was blocked poorly, and they failed on it. So I just say that to say that when Josh Heupel's making this decision about who plays at quarterback, the errors by one guy are obvious to all of us. The errors by the other guy is something that maybe they only know in the film room.
No, that's a good point. There's always so much more information that we don't have. There's obvious things we can all see, and you're like, oh, how could you miss it again? You tell me, Adam, I thought with Joe Milton, and now I actually more think it had to do with sort of the opponent and just knowing that you were going to have all day and trying to make the perfect play. But I thought Joe Milton took a big step forward in terms of, 1, seeing the field, and 2, being accurate with everything but deep balls against Pittsburgh. First of all, do you agree with that? And then second of all, I guess if you were Josh Heupel right now and you knew you had Milton available, Saturday and moving forward, how would you handle this?
Yeah, well, I think you're right on the first point. It's, you had 2 types of adjustments from game 1 to game 2. You had Milton's adjustments, and then you had Heupel's adjustments to Milton. I thought Milton looked more comfortable in the second game for what he played. I thought Heupel probably trimmed down the playbook and the game plan and the looks that Milton was going to get. He saw what he was comfortable with in the first game, saw what he wasn't comfortable with, and sort of turned what they were doing offensively to that, and I think that's why he looked more comfortable and the offense looked better early on. The hard part about that is in the first game, Heupel dialed up 2 open deep balls. In this one, he dialed up 5 or 6. And so there's more and more opportunities there for Milton, and therefore he's failing at more and more. And at some point, and I'm writing this today in the News Sentinel, is that at some point you're making your coach look bad. Now, I don't think Josh Heupel sees it that way necessarily. I don't think he's an ego guy. But we see these coaches all around the country that, I dialed this up for you. I designed this. I set this up for you. All you have to do is do what I set up for you to do. And if you don't do that, you're going to be pulled out of the game. And so I think at this point it's sort of a patient thing with Heupel of how many plays can he design that are there to work easily and that are not executed. Once he gets to the end of that rope, then he's going to go with Hooker. I think this week with Tech, it's a tough one because if Milton is healthy enough, then you play both of them. But Heupel kind of left that dangling out there yesterday that, we'll see on Milton middle of the week. We'll see how his health is. I think he's just giving himself a little bit of opportunity that if he plays more Hooker or all Hooker, then he can say, well, Milton was banged up or something like that. But they've got to figure this out going to the Swamp, I would think. But, what's the harm in playing two guys for the next 2 or 3 games? I don't think really there is one.
Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News-Sentinel on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. And Adam, some good news yesterday for Tennessee. Byron Young now eligible. How big a deal is it for this Tennessee defense to get Byron Young out on the field alongside Tyler Barron?
Probably more so than I would have thought 2 weeks ago. I think this defense is starting to develop a little bit of an identity that they want to bring pressure. Now, they only have, I think it's 5 sacks maybe, and some of those are from linebackers and Theo Jackson in the secondary, but that shows you that they want to be aggressive, and I think that's a good plan. If you have an up-tempo offense, you should want a pressure defense, and that's what they're trying to develop. Byron Young is a guy that you could put on the opposite side of Tyler Barron and have edge guys. They went into this season saying we have a defensive line that has a bend but don't break, but doesn't really have dynamic pass rushers. I think Tyler Barron, you've got one guy there. I think Byron Young, the hope is that he's another, and so it adds a piece to what they're trying to do, and so I think that's probably be a pretty good fit. This is a good game where he can get some confidence because you should be able to get some TFLs and some sacks against Tennessee Tech. If you can do that, you can probably feel a little bit more momentum going to the Swamp. Doesn't mean necessarily it'll translate, but at least you'll feel good about what you're doing going down to Florida.
Well, I don't want to look past Tennessee Tech. Well, actually, no, I do. I do want to look past Tennessee Tech. Look, they announced yesterday, Adam, that the Florida-Tennessee game was in primetime. From Vol Twitter, I saw a little bit of trepidation, a little bit of like, really? Do we have to do this? But I'll be honest with you guys. I just watching this offense against what I think is a pretty solid defense. Granted, a defense that lost a lot of guys in the NFL, but I feel like Tennessee, if it's got quarterback figured out and has like a plan in and knows what it wants to do, could go in there and give that team that so far has not been all that impressive a little bit of trouble. Am I overreacting right now?
Well, I think the Florida game's always a funny one for new Tennessee coaches because the fan base usually will treat that game, in my estimation, of hey, this is a sort of a mulligan. You're a new coach, a new system. We don't expect you to go beat Florida. But then if you get close to beating Florida, it's like, why couldn't you beat Florida? That was your chance to beat Florida. So I think that's probably maybe what Heupel's got in store for him. I think they'll go down there, and a lot of fans will say, we certainly don't expect you to accelerate that this much. But then they'll show enough good things in that game that it'll be tempting for people to want them to finish that out. I mean, one thing I could say, I think the offense is further ahead than we thought. Pitt's a good defense, and they put 34 on them and probably should have put 45 on them. And, and that's with the quarterback issues. I mean, all that we're talking about quarterback play was not good, and they don't know who their quarterback is. They still put up a lot of points in both of their games. And so I think we can say the offense has got something that's different than the Pruitt era, because the Pruitt era, you could say, hey, maybe they'll win 17-13. I think more so with the Heupel era so far, you can say, hey, maybe they go down and get beat by 10 in the Swamp, but they're going to score, 28-31, something like that, which is at least, I think, better to watch.
Adam, last thing for you. I've walked away from these first two games looking at this wide receiver core and thinking to myself that Tennessee, they've got some pretty intriguing pieces at wide receiver. Tough to see Jalen Hyatt go down in the last game. Hopefully he's good to go and in better shape as they move forward here. But between Hyatt and Tillman, saw Jimmy Callaway make a big play on Saturday. What have been your impressions so far of this young and talented wide receiver core that Tennessee has.
Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. Of what I've seen so far, that's also my impression. That there's some speed here, there's some yards after catch ability here, there's maybe even a chance for some depth here. But I think there's different years that we can say that about skill positions, and then you get into SEC play, and we say, hey, remember a month ago when we thought this position was dynamic, and suddenly you play Florida, Georgia, fill in the blank, and those guys are not as fast and not as dynamic and not as deep as we thought. So I've seen it so far. I want to see it some more in SEC play, though.
Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News-Sentinel has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Adam, great stuff, man. Appreciate you taking time to join us this morning.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Absolutely. You as well. Adam Sparks does a great job covering the Vols for the Knoxville News-Sentinel. We'll come back. We'll react a little bit to what Adam had to say there. I got some of your thoughts to get to as well as somebody taking a shot at Joe Rexrode as well on the text line. All that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bobus. A few isolated showers and weak thunderstorms this afternoon into this evening with no severe weather. Hot and a little bit humid once again. High temperatures in the upper 80s near 90 degrees. A little bit cooler, lower 80s going into tomorrow.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. There's no better time to upgrade your essential home systems than this month with Hiller. They're offering credits for your old home systems. Trade in your old HVAC unit and earn up to $1,500 in credits towards a select new system. Upgrade from a standard water heater to a tankless water heater and earn up to $500 with your trade. Trade up to a new electrical panel and earn up to $500 in credits for your old one. Their work is backed by the Happy You'll Be or Services Free guarantee. Their technicians are continuing to take measures to keep you and your family safe and healthy on every single call. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud sponsors of the Nashville Predators, Vanderbilt, and the Tennessee Volunteers. Hey, it's Jared Stillman. Guys, are you tired of feeling old? You know that feeling. You don't have any energy. You're gaining pounds. Well, guess what? My friends at Invigorate Health are the ones to help you. They don't just focus on one area of the aging body. They take care of all of it with so many different therapies that can restore your vitality and are designed with you specifically in mind. So give them a try. Invigorate Health if you want to feel young again. Out in Mount Juliet at 615-288-4777 or invigoratehealthtn.com.
More machines, more savings, and more muscle. Only with John Deere construction equipment from Meade Tractor. Hit the heavy jobs harder with our Own It offer and get special financing on select models. New, used, or rent, we have the right equipment and technology solution for you with the affordable financing you need. Contact us today at our Nashville location or go online at meadtractor.com.
Offer valid on qualified purchases and new equipment between now through October 31st, 2021. Subject to approved installment credit with John Deere Financial for commercial use only. Down payment may be required. Some restrictions apply. See store for details.
Bring everything up to speed with the Novatech Managed Office. Novatech's Managed Office portfolio consists of 4 key pillars that provide a unique, holistic approach to business technology, bringing together hardware, software, and services for IT, print, cloud, and security. Novatech's mantra: get it all, get it right, and get it now. From a technology partner you can trust. Let Novatech manage your business technology so you can focus on what matters most, your business. Learn more about the Novatech Managed Office and request a free Office X-ray technology assessment at novatech.net. That's novatech.net.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. The biggest game this Sunday is the Chiefs and the Ravens, and FanDuel Sportsbook is about to make it even bigger because FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. That means that you can end the weekend right by winning $150 on a $5 bet. I would have to roll with the Chiefs. FanDuel is America's #1 rated sportsbook app, and it's easy to use with safe and secure fast payouts in as little as 24 hours. FanDuel is sports betting made simple, and they're always hooking you up with great offers. Just sign up with the promo code JGM this Sunday before the Chiefs take on the Ravens, and you could win $150 on a $5 bet. Remember to use promo code JGM so they know that I sent you exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in a designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line. 1-800-889-9789.
Jared Stillman.
I cannot believe they picked this guy I've never heard of.
And company.
You're forced to play cap gymnastics, which makes it a little bit more difficult for picking up other guys.
Tune in Stillman and Company for your drive home. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Robby and Rexrode is on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
102.5 The Game and Cromwell Media Nashville are helping our friends at WQMV in Waverly rebuild from the catastrophic floods last month. Head over to thegamenashville.com to learn how you can help as well, as the radio station suffered major damage to their structure, equipment, and more. We want everyone affected by the floods to know you aren't alone and to keep being Humphreys County strong. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning, presented by Volunteer State Bank, now with 2 locations in Murfreesboro. Visit our brand new Murfreesboro location at 2019 Memorial Boulevard. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Thanks to Adam Sparks from the Knoxville News Sentinel for joining us in the last segment, and lots of intriguing pieces to figure out for Tennessee as they move into Tennessee Tech Week and then Florida Week coming up after that. But some good news yesterday for the Vols. Byron Young reinstated by the NCAA. He is now eligible to play. Joe Rexrode, as you look at this news and the defense so far for Tennessee, how big of a deal is it to get Byron Young in the fold for this group?
Well, this is one of those things, again, the unseen undefeated. Because, again, like Harrison Bailey right now would not have missed a pass, according to some of Vol Twitter. Harrison Bailey
That's correct.
I've heard from a Vols fan that he's the Mac Jones waiting to happen. I'm like, well, based on what? I mean, he could be good someday. I agree with you that that Harrison Bailey could come in and be good. We saw some good stuff from him as a true freshman. But the unseen is undefeated. So I think some people might expect Byron Young to come out and do Chandler Jones on somebody. It is Tennessee Tech Saturday. But
so he might.
I think it's a big deal if the word from practice is going to translate to the field here. It's a big deal. They don't have another real pass rush element other than Tyler Barron. Like Roman Harrison's a solid player, but he just doesn't have that same kind of ability to put on that burst of speed and get to the quarterback. If Byron Young does have that, I really like that tandem, when what they could be. I think on the depth chart they've been listed, together with Barron ahead of Byron. Byron. See, it could be a little, there's more T-shirt possibilities here. But I think, in passing situations, they'll probably both be on the field. So it's good. And it's also, obviously they could have used him last week. I mean, if he's what some say he is, which again, big pause on that with the Vols. But if he's close to that, then they could have used him last week. But it would not be bad, of course, to have him out there, get his feet wet a little bit, get him on the field, and then feel pretty good about what he could do for you at Florida. So it's a pretty big deal, I think. They need more playmakers and difference makers, and they have some deficiencies that you aren't going to change. Like I agree with you on Jeremy Banks. He's not ideal, although he does make play. Like he runs around, and when he gets someone in the phone booth, like he puts a hit on him. But he's, you can do better than that. I mean, you go from like toe to like him out there. I mean, you see a pretty big difference. I feel like Jawan Mitchell has been a very important add.
Yep.
But that position in particular is a weak spot. If you can make up for it with more off the edge and be able to get 4-man rush and get pressure that way, then this defense could definitely use that.
Let's go to our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Matt from Camden texting in, do not start giving people false hope, Joe. The Vols don't have a shot at beating or competing with Florida, and that's coming from a UT fan.
I'm sorry, Matt from Camden. You can be mad at me. I disagree that they don't have a shot of competing in the game. I totally disagree with you. So, look, if you want to not have hope, then you can do that. I would
blame
advise
Tennessee fans for not having hope.
That's fine. But I'd advise you to go earmuffs around here because I just haven't liked what I've seen from Florida. It's early. And at that game, look, it's a rivalry game. I mean, I hate to be cliche, but you throw out the records, Robbie, when you have a rivalry game.
Have you seen the records the last 15 years?
The records are not great.
Okay.
But there have been have there been competitive games? There have been quite a few.
There have been some. Quite a few. I guess it depends on your definition. But yeah, there have been some.
I'm going to go through the years.
There have been some total heartbreaks in the swamp towards the end, that's for sure.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but those were competitive games.
Oh, they were, yeah.
I mean, Butch had a couple just killers against them down there, you know.
Yes, he
now,
did.
we're going back, I mean, again, we're going back to when Tennessee had a much better roster than they do now, okay? And Florida has a better roster. But I think this offense is going to go into that place and have a chance to do damage. You know, one thing I don't think we've talked about yet from the Pittsburgh game, but needs to be said to me, and I actually wish I wrote more about this off the game Saturday, like Josh Heupel's play calling is good. I like it a lot. I like, and even just sort of like the TD to Warren, for example, they got some real nice situational sneaky plays that I feel like he has a great feel for when to bust them out. And that means a lot. Again, we've been talking, and we will talk more. Todd Downing, like how much you blame him. Well, I understand the idea of like, well, you can't just nitpick this play or that play because it didn't work. But there's an overall, like, you can see how an OC like kind of feels an entire game, and that game went very badly for the Titans. But on the flip side, with Heupel, and I know that Golish is the OC, but like, you know, this is Heupel's baby.
Yep.
And I believe Heupel's calling the plays. He's got a real good feel for that. That can make a huge difference. I don't expect Tennessee to go win at Florida, but they get good quarterback play, and that's an if. I think they're going to score some points in that game and make it worth watching. Sorry, Matt from Camden. You're going to watch. You know you will, and you're going to have some hope, too, somewhere in there.
Kevin in Nashville tweeting in or texting in on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. That backdoor cover for the Lions has Joe believing in anything.
What was the line on that game?
I think it was like 8.5 for the.
What a killer for anybody who laid big on the Niners and they're up 38-10. Dan Campbell.
What was the final? 41-33?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's biting kneecaps, baby. Got his Lions within 8 points.
Hey, they're 10.5-point dogs, or excuse me, 11.5-point dogs now to the Green Bay Packers next Monday night.
I mean, I can't wait to see.
Put some money on the Lions.
I'm already excited about Peyton and Eli and like their reaction to some Lions stuff they see. This is going to be great.
Just get a little Dan Campbell analysis out there.
I mean, how many times is Peyton going to put his hands to his head like, Jared Goff?
Dan Campbell's got 2 big 40-ounce things of coffee in his hands while he's trying to coach a football game.
Yeah.
Do something.
Yeah. Gosh. Well, so Madison Blevins tweeted out all this video of Eckler.
Oh, my
Mike
goodness.
Eckler for the Vols. Oh, my God. That he has to work with Dan Campbell someday.
Oh, man. Going nuts on the sideline.
I
think it was after the punt block, obviously. He's a special teams coach. So after the punt block, he's just going crazy on the sideline for Tennessee.
But he is just he's different.
Oh, yeah.
That's fun.
It's a lot of energy.
Him, Eckler, and Dan Campbell together. Imagine.
Be something.
Super Bowl champs.
Oh, yes. This Friday, it's your chance to participate in the Nashville SC Pick to Click, brought to you by Camarena Tequila. If you guess correctly which player scores a goal in the game this Saturday, you win a 4-pack of tickets to an upcoming Nashville SC home game. Participate this Friday morning at 9:45. When we come back, we'll be joined by our good friend Teresa Walker from the Associated Press. We'll break down the debacle that was the Tennessee Titans on Sunday. Look ahead to this Sunday's game against Seattle as well. All that next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
The MTSU Blue Raiders live here.
Touchdown, Middle Tennessee! 3-ball, yes, sir!
And when you're in the borough, tune us in on 97.5.
In the end zone, caught, touchdown!
We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Tune in to ESPN 102.5 The Game every Tuesday afternoon at 4:30 for ESPN's Trevor Maddich joining me, Jared Stillman, on Stillman & Company as we dive deep into the college football world and all the latest from the SEC. It's all brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, when experience matters.
No one outfits golfers better than Edwin Watts Golf Shops.
We've been fitting golfers since 1968. Utilizing cutting-edge fitting technology, we'll analyze your swing and our Foresight launch monitors and fit you with the perfect club, pair of shoes, the latest golf apparel, golf balls, bags, and more. So come by today for your complete custom fitting. Edwin Watts Golf Shops, home of the 90-day 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. Call today, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. I play at BetUS, and so should you. BetUS.com.
Use code GAME for a sign-up bonus.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The Pella Windows and Doors brand has the reputation as the leader in the industry for top quality window and door products. When you add the fact that my friends at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville are a local company having served the greater Nashville community for over 40 years, that's an unbeatable combination. Pella of Nashville is growing and has opportunities for all types of talent. Plus, they're offering sign-on bonuses. Go to PellaNashville.com. That's PellaNashville.com.
I come from a military family.
That's Stasha at Genesis Diamonds talking about the Hero Rewards program at Genesis, providing special discounts every day for heroes in uniform.
Whatever their budget is, we're going to make sure it stretches the best for them and that they will get the most beautiful ring at the best value.
Special hero pricing on any item extends to all military plus police, fire, and first responders.
They make us have the great life we have, and we are eternally grateful for that.
Genesis Hero Rewards program and free services is yours for life, no matter where you move.
Travel anywhere in the world, we're one phone call away. So no matter where you're stationed, if you're military or if you're a police officer and you go to another state, we're going to take good care of you.
Of course, it doesn't hurt that Genesis owner Boaz Ramon is himself a veteran of the Israeli Army.
Boaz, having served in the military, appreciates the military and what they do for us.
Genesis Diamonds, where our heroes in uniform get red carpet pricing and white glove treatment every day of the year.
We're there for them because they're there for us.
Genesis Diamonds, continuously voted best jewelry store and best place to buy an engagement ring. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Signs First is the official sign company for 102.5 The Game. Go to sfnash.com.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live. It's Robby and Rexrode with Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in, hour number 3 of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Konezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Talking Titans, and to help us do that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Teresa Walker from the Associated Press. Teresa, what's going on? How we doing?
Well, let's face it, most of us are doing better than the Titans, right? Because suddenly we have all these questions now, right? We had questions last week about how might it look. Now we have questions like, oh, my goodness, it looked like that.
It was pretty bad. I don't think there's any question about that, and a rough start to the season for the Titans. Teresa, we'll get a little bit deeper into the game itself coming up here in just a few minutes, but I do want to start with your thoughts on Mike Vrabel's press conference yesterday. Obviously, some comments about Julio Jones that have generated a lot of attention, referencing doing dumb stuff to hurt the team, to paraphrase what Mike Vrabel said. What was your reaction to that, and what do you think kind of the takeaway is for that if you're a Titans fan regarding those comments on Julio Jones?
Well, if I'm a Titans fan, I'm thinking good. And also if I'm a Titan in that locker room, I'm thinking even the 7-time Pro Bowler who's most likely got a quick ticket to the Pro Football Hall of Fame 5 years after he retires is being held to account by the head coach. And if there is a head coach out there that can do that, it's a guy who has 3 Super Bowl rings on his own hand, right? And Mike Vrabel making clear that, you just don't hurt the team. And, guys, it's lucky that, some other referee, maybe Julio Jones, gets tossed. Because the way he was pushing, and you watch that replay, he kind of, I've heard it described as a punch. To me, it looked more like a shove to the face, but certainly the kind of continued action after the whistle that, some guys would toss a guy like that. I mean, so, and then you add on to it the performance. Targeted 6 times, catches 3 passes for 29 yards. So that unnecessary roughness penalty, was, he didn't even produce almost twice that, right? And more importantly, it wiped out a 7-yard run by Derrick Henry early in that game where maybe they could have established some, rhythm, stayed on the field, changed the effect of that game. We'll not know, but guess what? It sent a strong message, right?
It did. Now, so this is our 4th season of covering Vrabel, and Teresa, I always find it interesting. I mean, I could watch like a Vrabel practice all day because it's very entertaining, and he's in command, and that voice is dominant out there, and he's keeping an eye on everyone and calling people out and being a very vocal head coach. But you tell me, I can't recall him calling out a player like this individually for a mistake or anything before. And maybe I'm forgetting something. But did it strike you yesterday as something that's very unusual for him?
No. I mean, I'll be honest. I couldn't cite you somebody specifically that he's done, but he has talked repeatedly about not doing dumb stuff to hurt the team. And this is under the category of absolutely dumb stuff. So, and for a team that had like 7 penalties for, I can't remember the exact yards, but, that was a costly penalty. Jackrabbit Jenkins also had one too, right? Defensive pass interference. So the veterans on this team, guys who should know better, made mistakes. But, again, I go back to this. Mike Vrabel is confident and comfortable enough in his skin, and the message that he's been sending in that locker room of the don't do dumb stuff, that when you do it to the guy who just arrived in June, I think it felt to me, Joe, like it was intended to make sure and send a message that guys, you go to the whistle and stop. You're not helping with this. And, you're doing more to hurt than help, and, making it very clear that Julio Jones is not immune to such criticism.
Teresa, what was the most surprising part of the game on Sunday? Obviously, the Titans were not good in really any phase of the game on Sunday against Arizona. What surprised you the most about the way Arizona came in here and handled the Titans?
Well, probably the way the offensive line played. I mean, we were hoping that maybe the way the defense played in the preseason would carry over. But this is an offensive line that, yes, it's a different right tackle. But you had Taylor Lewan back, and while they had not had a ton of practice, I mean, you probably count on one hand how many times the entire offensive line was together this preseason, right? But this was a line that allowed 25 sacks last year. Ryan Tannehill had not been sacked 6 times in a game since December 1st, 2019. And to see him go down that many times, we all had questions last week. In fact, Joe and I talked right before the game, and Joe was worried about the rust, and I thought, well, here's the thing: these guys are talented and veteran enough. We'll see if they can just pick up and do, and make this look as seamless as they say it could be. And Joe was right; they were very, very rusty. The lack of chemistry, timing, whatever you want to call it, was very, very obvious. And going against Chandler Jones, J.J. Watt, you would think you'd be on your P's and Q's for your pass protection, right?
You would think so.
Well, you can say I was right. Believe me, I did not foresee this debacle at all. But it seemed like a lot of things conspired for that game to get out of hand. But yeah, the offense was just. I think I'm with you on the most surprising thing, Teresa, the offensive line, and I feel like. Look, I mean, the guy who really struggled, obviously, gets all the attention for it, Taylor Lewan, I would think that he would figure it out and get into a groove, and Jones and Davis, who just came off the COVID list, would get into a groove. So I still feel like there's a lot, of growth that we're going to see with that side of the ball. But defensively, I've heard a variety of opinions. I came away sort of like, well, you needed that stop when it's 24-13, and you needed to, to make more plays. But I didn't think that it was all that different from what I expected. And I don't think that, there's no reason for hope on that side of the ball, even though this was a 38-13 game. What do you think about just the defensive side of the ball, Teresa?
Joe, they made some stops early. I mean, they did force the Cardinals to a field goal early, right? When they were backed up against their own line. They did some good things early, but, they were on the field for a long time. It was really hot. And, when Mike Vrabel was saying afterwards they didn't play complimentary football, well, this is where it hurt the defense. The offense did not stay on the field long enough, especially early enough, to help them get recovered before having to go out and chase that jitterbug of a quarterback in Kyler Murray. So, yes, their third down issues still look like they've absolutely been untouched. But you're going up against DeAndre Hopkins, and AJ Green was kind of the guy that stood out to me the most, Christian Fulton. And Mike Vrabel said yesterday he's excited to watch this young kid play football. So am I. I mean, he played some good ball. If you follow Pro Football Focus, he had probably the best day out of that secondary for the Titans. So, there were little teeny pieces but that's a unit that absolutely has to play better. But, get some help from the other side, the field goal unit, which now they're looking for yet another kicker. I mean, it's almost comical at this point how many kickers they keep going through because of injuries, this, that, and the other thing, and not being able to simply make the kicks. I mean, Badgley made a 55-yarder in pregame. I was watching and shot video of it. And then he goes out there and he can't make the 46-yarder when it counts. And that's become such a big issue. But, again, this defense, unfortunately they've got to face another quarterback who can run around and buy time in Russell Wilson. And there's Lamar Jackson on the slate later this year. That's the thing about the NFL. There's not that many guys that just simply sit back there and let you come tee off on them. The pass rush has got to get better. They got close, but they got close a lot of times last year too. So some little teeny promises, but it's a unit that's got to get better regardless.
Teresa Walker from the Associated Press on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Teresa, last thing for you here. Obviously, we knew heading into the season Todd Downing is going to be a heavy point of conversation. And, it's interesting in that game where, as you mentioned, the offensive line struggles the way that it did. I don't know how much you can take away from the play calling that took place with Todd Downing. So in your mind, what is fair, what is unfair when it comes to the criticism of Todd Downing that we've already seen from a lot of Titans fans since Sunday?
Well, I'm going to lean on a colleague who covered Todd Downing's 1 year as the Raiders offensive coordinator. And he pointed out after the loss on Sunday here that Downing-coordinated offenses have averaged 13 points per game over his past 5 games, scoring 17 or less in each game dating back to 2017 and his time with the Raiders. So, guys, I'll just say this. You've got Derrick Henry. Everybody knows he ran for 2,000 yards last year. Yes. For all the talk about pick your poison on offense, did we not think that maybe they're going to start with trying to stop the one thing they absolutely know the Titans can do, which is run the ball? And sometimes we saw this offense starting to move in the second quarter when they were doing what? Throwing the ball. If you want to back off a Chandler Jones or something like that, you get the ball out and you get it downfield quickly. Ryan Tannehill can do that when you're not trying to do your play action maybe to start the game. I'm very curious to see how they react. Mike Vrabel said they were out-coached. You got to think that includes the offense as well. So I'm very curious to see how much they maybe tweak the start of that game plan. You can't get into play action if you can't run. Maybe you have to throw so that you can set things up these times.
Teresa Walker from the Associated Press has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Teresa, great stuff as always. Appreciate you taking time to join us this morning.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks, Teresa Walker, our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll come right back and react to what Teresa had to say there as well. Take your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Attention men, have you been struggling with erectile dysfunction? Well, Hillside Medical Clinic has a breakthrough treatment for ED that does not require any pills, injections, or surgery. And now Andrew Reinhardt with Hillside Medical joins us to tell us all about it. Andrew, what's going on, man? How we doing?
Hey, I am doing well, and that's right, guys. If you're out there a little frustrated in the bedroom, experiencing some erectile dysfunction, Hillside Medical Clinic, for the first time in 30 years, is treating the actual root cause. Our technology, it opens up and regrows blood vessels, not invasively, no surgery. It gets the blood flowing in the bedroom where you want it. when you want it, and thank goodness there are no pills or side effects included.
So, Andrew, what kinds of clinical studies have been done on this new technology you just mentioned?
It is extensive. At hillsidemedicalclinic.com, we have almost 50 clinical studies. Even Cambridge University and several others have vetted this, shown it to be highly effective, safe. It was even called the new standard of care for erectile dysfunction.
And Andrew, I hear you have a special offer for our listeners if they call in right now.
We certainly do. It's Tuesday today, and we've got a lot to offer. Call us now. The assessment exam and blood flow ultrasound with our doctor, that's free, and you get the gift that you'll love. It produces immediate and powerful results in the bedroom. Hundreds of dollars in value this morning. We're doing it free to callers right now.
Andrew, thanks so much for your time, man. Really appreciate it. And you heard it, guys. You can put a stop to your erectile dysfunction by treating the root cause of the problem. Call Hillside Medical Clinic right now to qualify for that offer. 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your ED and regain your love life. Call Hillside Medical Clinic right now at 615-576-5000.
Hang out with us every weekday starting at 6 a.m. with Robby and Rexrode.
I really am. You gotta be. I mean, I just totally am. You've gotta be.
Darren, Donick, and Chase from 10 to 2.
Good participation.
We have a system now, thank goodness.
I had a funny moment happen.
And Stillman and Company from 2 to 6.
I have a story.
Get a cupcake.
Watch live on Periscope, Twitch, and YouTube. Tune in anytime on the Game Nashville app or your home speaker. This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
This report is brought to you by Unbound.org.
Hey, this is Jared, the owner of MTGRT.com. If your mortgage rate is not in the twos, then you need to call me now. We are locking in clients in the twos with no closing costs. That's right, you heard it right. Locking in clients in the twos with no closing costs. Text me on my personal cell at 615-969-2257 or fill out a few pieces of information on our website, MTGRT.com. MTGRT.com is the proud sponsor of Paul Feinbaum, heard on ESPN 94.9.
Stay Golden Restaurant and Cafe has you covered every day of the week with breakfast and lunch served daily, brunch served every Saturday and Sunday, and now this month Stay Golden is launching an all-you-can-drink coffee subscription that comes with bottomless filter coffee every time you walk in the doors. If you join today, you get 2 weeks free. Go to stay-golden.com and use code GAME at checkout for half off your first month's subscription. That's GAME at checkout at stay-golden.com. Stay Golden, Nashville.
Hey, it's Jared from my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. The biggest game this Sunday is the Chiefs and the Ravens, and FanDuel Sportsbook is about to make it even bigger because FanDuel is giving new customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. That means that you can end the weekend right by winning $150 on a $5 bet. I would have to roll with the Chiefs. FanDuel is America's #1 rated sportsbook app, and it's easy to use with safe and secure fast payouts in as little as 24 hours. FanDuel is sports betting made simple, and they're always hooking you up with great offers. Just sign up with the promo code JGM this Sunday before the Chiefs take on the Ravens, and you could win $150 on a $5 bet. Remember to use promo code JGM so they know that I sent you exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in a designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line. 1-800-889-9789.
If you've missed any of today's show, just search Robby and Rexrode on Apple, Spotify, or your favorite podcast platform.
Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Visit volstatebank.com to learn more about our free Kasasa checking account. Member FDIC equal housing lender. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Streaming live on Twitch, Twitter, and on YouTube every single day. And our video streaming is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. Thanks to Teresa Walker from the Associated Press for joining us in the last segment. And some interesting stuff there from Teresa. And one of the things that we hit on there with her was some comments made yesterday by Mike Vrabel, Titans head coach, at his Monday press conference about Julio Jones and the personal foul penalty in the first quarter that took the play from a 3rd and 1 to a 3rd and 16. And as we know, that did not go well for the Titans on 3rd and 16 after that. Lots of buzz both here locally and nationally, from Mike Vrabel's comments on Julio Jones yesterday. Here's what Titans head coach Mike Vrabel had to say at his Monday press conference yesterday regarding Julio Jones and his personal foul penalty.
See from Julio, and maybe did he give you maybe a talking point already about maybe keeping your composure and getting that penalty?
Sure, critical mistake. I don't think that those are absolutely that's absolutely nothing that we coach or teach. So that would fall into the category of doing dumb that hurts the team. Right there in bold letters. Goes from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 16.
So you can kind of feel the angst, I don't know if disgust is the right word, but pretty upset. Frustration in Mike Vrabel's voice there from just going over that play of Julio Jones and what exactly that meant in terms of the game. But just we hear Vrabel all the time talk about playing between the whistle and doing things that you've got to control and not doing dumb stuff to hurt the team, to paraphrase what Mike Vrabel said. I found that to be very interesting yesterday. And again, we've talked about it some today. Teresa talked about it there as well. I think if you ask different people, you'll get different opinions on what exactly it means or what exactly the message was from Mike Vrabel. Is this some sort of frustration that he's had with Julio Jones? Is it simply a message to get Julio Jones going? Is it a message to the rest of the team through Julio Jones? I don't know exactly what the tactic was there from Vrabel yesterday, but I do know that it was interesting, and I agree with you. It's something we don't see happen very often from Mike Vrabel, specifically calling out a player like he did yesterday with Julio Jones.
And I think it's also, it's an indication of the type of mistake here.
Yeah.
Someone, what was it, on Periscope or Twitch or somebody was Periscope. Like, what about the mistakes from Taylor Lewan? Well, the funny thing is with Taylor Lewan, now in the past he's had mistakes like this that have been very costly. But Taylor Lewan, didn't do his job well. Taylor Lewan got beat one-on-one by the player he was trying to block. So that's not the same as a post-whistle penalty that takes you from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 16, critical point of the game. You're trying to flip this game around that's 10-0 because, your quarterback got blasted on a naked bootleg and it's going very poorly. Now you have a 3rd and 1. Oh, it's 3rd and 16. Here comes the punt. Oh, here comes 17-0. So I think the type of transgression is also part of it. Someone pointed out to me that, and I guess I should have thought about this earlier. He definitely did this with Rashaan Evans because that's actually the original quote. The original time he said dumb bleep to hurt the team was also, it was a question, and I don't remember who asked the question or all that stuff, but it was about Rashaan Evans, if you remember last year, had a few of these like personal fouls during the season, going back to actually week 1 at Denver. And so Vrabel late in the year, and I think he had one at Houston, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
When the game they won was Sloman, and he said he put that in the category of dumb. So there's I guess the first time that I can recall it, where it's like a specific individual player. Now, again, he's asked, in both cases, asked specifically about it. Jim Wyatt asked him yesterday about the Julio situation. But, yeah, it's notable because it's rare. Now, this has gotten a lot of reaction around the league, and it's just like anything with the Titans or anything with a local team versus like the national reaction. There's a lot of context people don't have. But that, to me, is the notable part of this that probably a lot of the national media don't understand or don't know, is that he just doesn't do this. He doesn't do this, and he doesn't even do praise too much with individuals. He just kind of likes to – he certainly doesn't talk injuries. I think he basically just likes to not really get into individuals too much in the media. I mean, that's – and he's been asked before about players making certain mistakes. And in fact, I remember he got upset with me asking about Anthony Ferkser a couple years ago when he had a catch at the goal line, and that was the "you're a professional writer" Joe quote. And so that was, we gotta find that. Yeah, that was pretty good. But asking about Ferkser making that mistake, and he was upset, like, you're going to call out this guy, for making that mistake in the game. Now, again, that's different from this. Totally different mistake. It's guy trying to make a play. DB hit him hard. The ball popped up. The Texans intercepted the ball. It's not a dumb penalty after the whistle. But that's an example of he typically does not like to do any sort of individual criticism publicly. Now, on the practice field, let it fly. Those conversations are off the record.
Now, as Ryan Porth points out, Steve Lehman, the one that asked the question last year that led to the don't do dumb stuff to hurt the team response.
Good memory.
Yeah, it's good stuff there.
Good memory, Ryan Porth.
I think a part of the answer was the message, Steve, is don't do dumb bleep to hurt the team.
Don't do dumb that hurt the team.
That's right.
Now, wait, was that
was the original one?
That was yesterday? That was the original one.
That was the original one.
Oh, we still have that.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's like Vrabel's, and that's been used lots. It's a great quote.
It is.
But, again, anybody, I asked Teresa, do you find this? I was surprised that her response was no, because I can't. So there's 2, but this is year 4, and it's very rare. Again, like I said earlier in the show, he had an extensive sort of analysis of Kenny Vaccaro's play in the win at New England in the playoffs. Kenny Vaccaro had a great game. And I remember that day being like, whoa, he never does that. So he just doesn't like to really praise/rip anyone much.
Let's go to our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Ben texting in. I don't think he called out Julio. The question referred to Julio, and he answered it like he would with any player that did a penalty and was asked about it. So Ben not buying that it was a specific call-out of Julio Jones.
I mean, he was asked about Julio Jones, and then he answered on what happened with Julio Jones.
Yeah.
So, I would say that he was talking about Julio Jones.
I would say so.
Now, again,
Now, what does it mean?
Yeah, I mean, okay, maybe it's taking the opportunity to send a larger message. That could be. You can go all sorts of ways with this. I mean, we are sitting here. Look, Monday's the day of overreacting to the terrible performance, and now we have a little soundbite that we can spend hours on.
Sure, but I think what you've pointed out, too, is another part of this conversation that's interesting. Like, it's one thing when you're still, as I imagine Vrabel was, pissed off on Sunday after that loss to go out and say something like that. It's another thing when you've had almost 24 hours to digest what happened. You've looked at the film, and you still appear to be really upset by that. Like, look, I'm all for it. I'm all for these press conferences having a little bit more spice to them, and I have no problem with what Mike Vrabel said. I mean, anything you can do to light a fire under your team after what we saw out on that field on Sunday, I'm totally cool with. So I have no issue with what Mike Vrabel said. I just is there some sort of deeper meaning? Because that's really the conversation nationally that's happening right now. We've seen all the stuff come out about Julio Jones the last couple of weeks through how his time ended in Atlanta. Jared talked a couple weeks ago about some of the sources he talked to in Atlanta and not practicing on the field. We know that Julio Jones didn't practice for the most part in training camp. So is it a deeper issue with Julio Jones, or are we reading way too much into this? I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is, but that's going to be the story and the talking point nationally is, does Mike Vrabel have a problem with Julio Jones?
Right. Exactly. And look, I don't know. I mean, I think that could be an overreaction for sure. But I mean, like, you have to, again, look at this with the context of how he normally goes about his business. This stands out. And also on the flip side of reaction to this, I've seen a lot of this, and I think it's fair. Well, why is this one thing being blown up? How about don't do dumb stuff like put Kendall Lamb on an island with Chandler Jones? Yep. Don't have the overall offensive performance you had. Don't kick the field goal 4th and 1 when you're down 24-6 and you just saw the guy yanking it. You know, you can now send it back to Vrabel and say, what about this, and this from this awful performance?
Sure.
You're telling me that the 15-yard penalty by Julio Jones was worth that kind of reaction, and then the other stuff isn't?
Oh, that's a fair point. Look, and you'd be hard-pressed to convince me that the personal foul penalty from Julio Jones had much to do with the impact and the outcome of that game. Now, I will say it was still early in that game, and if you can keep that drive going, I mean, who knows? Who knows what happens there, but they pretty much got whipped in every phase of the game on Sunday.
Yeah, that's always the fascinating thing with football games. Like, even like the Browns game reminded me of this game, except it was the defense. But it's like, even if they're just like one play or something early, like, they're not like way worse than the Browns, right? I don't think that they're 25 points worse than the Cardinals either.
No.
If they played 10 times, what would happen?
Well, I mean, and that's part of it's week 1 too, right? Like, you know, the Titans destroyed Buffalo last year. Are the Titans 30 points better than the Bills?
Right.
Probably not. but sometimes games like this happen in the NFL.
So early on, Josh Allen throws a bad pick. You get a couple plays, all of a sudden it's a snowball. So if on this drive you do find a rhythm and you make it 10-7, actually, yeah, I do think it could be a different game. But, I mean, after it's all said and done, we watch the whole performance, yes, I agree. Like, you're taking one play of so many bad ones and making a big deal of it.
So what did you make of Mike Vrabel's comments on Julio Jones and the personal foul penalty? Is it a big deal? Is it a small deal? Is it no deal? Let us know on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. That's next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
Titans, Seahawks. The Two-Tone Blue seeks a Week 2 victory in hostile territory. Tune in Sunday at 1 for NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard. Live from Corner Pub in Cool Springs. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Join compassion and give hope to a family in extreme poverty. Share your $40 one-time gift when you text the word GIVE to 83393.
Need a new roof? Get a roof built with integrity from E2 Roofing. E2 is a veteran-owned and operated local roofer with 95 5-star Google reviews and Better Business Bureau A+ rating. E2 Roofing is a veteran-owned and operated local roofer with 90 5-star Google reviews and Better Business Bureau A+ rating. E2 assists customers with roof repair and replacements through insurance claim assistance. Find out if insurance will pay for your new roof with a free inspection at e2roofingnashville.com.
312 Pizza Company is family-owned and operated, bringing you a slice of Chicago to Nashville. 312 Pizza Company specializes in deep dish pizza, thin crust pizza, and all things Chicago style. And always made from scratch using secret family recipes passed down generation to generation. 312 Pizza is open 7 days a week and located in Germantown with dine-in, takeout, and curbside available. Call 615-730-7888 to order 312 Pizza Company, Nashville's authentic Chicago pizzeria.
Parman Tractor and Equipment is your one-stop tractor and equipment solution and Middle Tennessee's Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer. No matter how you're getting there, start with Parman Tractor and Equipment. Rent or purchase a track loader, mini excavator, large excavators for your job site, or something in between. Their service and parts team will get your work site up and running in no time. Parman Tractor and Equipment will come to you for service if needed. Visit ParmanTractor.com for more info. Your Middle Tennessee Link Belt and Takeuchi dealer, providing totally outrageous customer service.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Progressive's Home and Auto Bundle Extrava Festa Save-a-thon, the annual year-long event for saving big on home and auto insurance. These savings are available up until and straight through Labor Day, Halloween, Grover Cleveland's birthday, Taco Tuesday, the anniversary of the moon landing, White Chocolate Day. The sale literally never ends. You can come on Jupiter's Ascension, National Pisces Day, but not Leap Day. Just kidding. We're doing Leap Day because every day is perfect for saving money with a Home and Auto Bundle only at Progressive. But for real, we're not doing White Chocolate Day because white chocolate is gross. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Want to look like $1 million but only spend a handful of bucks? Upgrade to Dollar Shave Club with the Ultimate Shave Starter Set for only $5. Get a 6-blade razor, prep scrub, shave butter, and post-shave dew for a noticeably smooth shave. Plus free shipping. Razors can be expensive, so don't spend all that money for a mediocre shave. Dollar Shave Club. It's what dreams are shaved of. After the starter set, razors ship at a regular price. Go to dollarshaveclub.com/gojo. That's dollarshaveclub.com/gojo. Welcome to the club.
Saturday night.
Touchdown, Vanderbilt.
The Vanderbilt Commodores return to West End for a non-conference showdown with the Stanford Cardinal. Pre-game at 5:30. Kickoff at 7 on 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hey Nashville, this is new Vanderbilt head coach Jerry Stackhouse. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 1025 The Game.
Join us in partnering with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Light the Night. Light the Night brings light to the darkness of cancer through hope, research, and support for patients and their families. Through this inspirational nationwide movement, we raise awareness and funding for groundbreaking research and treatment options to eliminate cancer. Nashville's Light the Night will take place on November the 5th at Nissan Stadium. Once again, that's November 5th at Nissan Stadium. Register and learn more at lightthenight.org/TN. Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, conveniently serving Middle Tennessee with 13 locations. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Talking Titans and Mike Vrabel's comments yesterday on Julio Jones. Taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025. Kinston texting in. It's not a big deal at all. Vrabel would have addressed any player like that. Media's just turning it into something. Monday through Saturday is talking season. Sunday is where everything matters.
Okay. Well, Kinston, again, then I have to acknowledge that sometimes I forget things. This has happened a time or two on the show.
It's okay.
So tell me when. I mean, I'm not saying this is the biggest deal in the world. They're going to move on and practice this week, and we'll see how they play. But it is unique based on my memory. And by the way, thanks to Teron Davenport for pointing out to me the Rashaan Evans, that it was specifically about Rashaan Evans. Because in my mind, that was just a quote at some point about don't do dumb bleep. But it was actually about Rashaan Evans. But I can't come up with a third. If someone can come up with a third here in the fourth season of Mike Vrabel, I'm all ears.
Well, and the part about it being talking season, I mean, I hear what Kinston's saying there, but it's also the head coach was the one doing the one talking. Like, it's not like this was just brought up out of nowhere.
Exactly. I mean, look, is this total fodder for, well, shows like this and other shows?
Yes, it is.
And Get Up and all this stuff, and people are going to – yes, and I understand how it gets annoying, for sure. But, look, the moment he did that, I was sitting next to Michelle yesterday at the press conference, and I tweeted it, and I tweeted the quote, and then I tweeted, "Damn!" I was like, that doesn't happen with Vrabel very often at all.
Let's go to our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Josh from Mount Juliet texting in. I think it's as big as Julio makes it. If he takes it personally, it can disrupt the locker room. If he can move on and take the criticism, I think it can rally the team. And it's interesting, like I can't even say the word reputation. I almost said repetition. I got way too much Butch Jones speak in my head right now. I've got to get it out.
Brick by brick, right?
Yeah, brick by
word
brick.
by word, brick by brick.
The reputation of Julio Jones, I mean, largely, we had Jacob Tammy on the show that spent a lot of time playing with Julio Jones. Pretty much everybody that's ever played with Julio Jones loves Julio Jones. So, I've never gotten the impression that Julio Jones has been some big problem in the locker room. And based on what you've said and what we've kind of noticed about Julio on this team so far, looks like the players love Julio Jones around here. So, look, I don't think at the end of the day this is going to be some big deal or it's going to end up turning, a Julio Jones versus Mike Vrabel type thing. Like, Julio Jones has been in the league long enough. He can take some criticism, hopefully. He did play for Nick Saban, not afraid to call people out either. That happened a few times, I'm sure. So it's not like Julio Jones has never heard this from a coach before in terms of being critical of your play. Taking it to the media is different and certainly, I think, notable when it comes to Mike Vrabel. But I don't anticipate now that Vrabel has done this, that all of a sudden Julio Jones is just going to be, well, all right, I'm done. I'm out.
No, that's not going to be the case. Like, if you went back to Mike Mularkey, like, let's say Mike Mularkey had never been fired, and now they were in the midst of this run with Mike Mularkey as the coach. Like, Mike Mularkey did stuff like this all the time. Mike Mularkey, a player made a mistake, a penalty. Lewan, he called out Lewan, and rightfully so after some of those penalties. The one against the Raiders a few years ago, that was just a terrible jump on the pile, and that really cost them. He was one of those coaches who would tell you, here's the injury. It's the 5th metatarsal, and he'll be back in 17 days. And he specifically individually called up players all the time. So it wouldn't – to me, in my opinion, at least locally, maybe nationally it's the same thing, same reaction to any kind of quote like this. But locally, it'd be like, okay, does that all the time. It's just that, again, this is in the context of Vrabel and how he normally goes about his business, this is different.
Let's go back to the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Henry texting in. Maybe Vrabel gave a straight-up answer to the question that was asked to avoid the never-ending loop of same questions being asked differently by others. So Vrabel just changing it up. A little bit of dose of honesty to spice things up.
Keep changing it up, man.
I mean, I'm cool with it.
Keep doing it.
Kinston texting back in, A.J. Brown's rookie year when he jumped on Taylor Lewan for doing something stupid in the Colts game that year. Vrabel said the same thing about Lewan, I think. I'd have to go back and find that.
Okay. I mean, I can't sit here and say you're absolutely wrong. I mean, if this is actually 2 times in the 4 seasons where there's been any sort of hint of criticism of a player, I'd be surprised, but I can't think of any others. And it certainly doesn't happen much, and it certainly does not happen to that extent.
Dennis texting in, I think in 2 weeks, no one will remember the don't do dumb stuff comment. It isn't a big deal for a coach to not want players to take dumb penalties. Like the Rashawn punch, Vrabel said the same thing. Maybe it's just Vrabel's strategy. After the first game, he picks a guy to say don't do dumb stuff to set the tone. He's done it 2 years in a row now.
Yeah, well, again, I do think that it's important here to point out, like, the type of mistake here has to be infuriating to a coach, and it should be. I mean, it was dumb. Like, it's fair for Julio Jones to be called out for that. It was like, you can't have that, especially from a great player, a veteran who's been in the league so long. You can't, lose your cool like that. So this type of penalty is going to infuriate any coach. So that's part of it for sure. I do think that it would also be easier to just shrug off as, okay, you're upset, you said something, you move on, if it was right after the game.
Yeah. Well, and then, I as a coach, I think you feel like maybe a lot of the mistakes that were made on the field in terms of not being able to protect the quarterback, some defensive lapses. I mean, we saw, Jack Rabbit Jenkins kind of falling down all over the place on Sunday. He talked about that and having to go out and check out what the field's like, all these different things. Like, I think you feel like if you're Mike Vrabel, a lot of what you saw on Sunday is correctable, and that has everything to do with your preparation during the week and correcting things that way. Like Julio Jones and the play he made has nothing to do with preparation. It's not emotionally responding to something that happens on the field. I mean, Nick Saban talks about this all the time. When you make an emotional decision, 9 times out of 10, it's going to hurt your team. And that's what happened with Julio Jones. Now, we've had some Titans fans look at that play too and say, all right, well, Julio Jones got hit in the face on that play too. Why is there not 2 flags?
It's always a second guy.
It's always a second guy. We've learned that in this league.
Julio Jones knows that well. 32 years old.
Yeah.
It's always the responder.
Vincent and Dixon texting in. Can anyone argue that what Coach said wasn't the truth? I don't think anybody's arguing against that.
No.
That's why we say it. Like, we have no problem
now
with what he said.
Again, the truth, yes. The one mistake from that game that deserves to be lifted above others and made an example of. So we had a call earlier, Ron, and I basically agree with Ron. Like, wait a minute, let's turn the mirror on you. And that's, I think Vrabel, like a lot of coaches, here's a cliche. You point the finger. You got to look at me.
I'm looking at you.
The thumb is pointing back at you. You point the finger, the thumb is pointing back at you. Okay.
Beautiful.
That's a big Mark D'Antonio phrase. But so, it was just the fact that this one is made a big deal of after all of the things that went wrong for the team. I think that's fair to look at and say, why? Why is that? Why is this the one? He wasn't wrong. It was a dumb penalty. Boy, I think we've listed. Have we listed everything? We've listed a lot. We could probably go through the play-by-play and find a couple other things that you'd really have a problem with from this performance.
Dennis on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Do we get the same quote from Vrabel if it's the same penalty but the Titans win the game? I mean,
well, yeah. Actually, the first one was
after the Denver game, right?
Well, no, I believe that the quote was actually from the Houston Texans win to win the division. Am I
I feel like it was earlier in the year than Week 17. Maybe. I have to go back and look.
Well, certainly Rashaan Evans had the one against Denver. He had like 3 at different points of the year, but I thought he had one at the end, and that's when the question and comment were made. I could be wrong. There's so many things I need people to help me remember things. I'd ask Kaharski, but he'd go find a quote from Vrabel saying "Coach better, play better," and think that was the answer. That joke fell flat, but you get what I'm saying.
Very nicely
yes.
done.
But actually, no, I thought it was after the Houston game. So if anybody remembers that specifically, TD, keep texting me, TD. I need help.
We'll do some research on that during the break. Get more of your thoughts on the Titans coming up next on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025, The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center.
I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bobus. A few isolated showers and weak thunderstorms this afternoon into this evening with no severe weather. Hot and a little bit humid once again. High temperatures in the upper 80s near 90 degrees. A little bit cooler, lower 80s going into tomorrow.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hi guys, it's Andrew with Hillside Medical Clinic. Are you struggling with erectile dysfunction and sick of pills? Well, I have breaking news. Hillside Medical Clinic uses the most proven form of wave technology available, clinically shown by Cambridge to open up and regrow blood vessels. No pills and no side effects. If you're ready to put a stop to your ED by treating the root cause, call us now, and not only will the assessment and blood flow ultrasound be free, we'll also include something unique that produces powerful results in the bedroom. You're going to love that. And to those that call in the next 2 minutes, you'll qualify for an extra treatment free. This is an unheard of value worth hundreds of dollars. Call 615-576-5000. That's 615-576-5000. Put a stop to your erectile dysfunction and get your love life back. Call Hillside Medical Clinic in the next 2 minutes to qualify for this unprecedented offer. 615-576-5000.
Yo, it's Teron Davenport here to tell you about my friends at Freedom Tire Guys. They're Nashville's premier mobile tire company, and they do it all. New tires, balance, rotation, everything. Bill, a recent customer of theirs, loved the way they came to him and saved him time and money. So if you're like Bill, you like convenience, and you need some new tires, check out FreedomTireGuys.com. If you don't see the tires you like, give them a call, and they'll find them for you. Check them out today at FreedomTireGuys.com.
Hey, it's Jared for my official sportsbook app, the FanDuel Sportsbook app. You know, I love the FanDuel Sportsbook app. And after a thrilling opening week in the NFL, week 2 is here. The fridge is stocked. The recliner is ready. Now all you need to do is log into the FanDuel Sportsbook app to claim your risk-free bet. That's right. FanDuel is giving all customers a risk-free bet for week 2 of this season. So you got money line bets, over-unders, prop bets, same-game parlays, etc. I think an easy bet would be Cleveland over the Texans. Not feeling much for Houston this year. Use FanDuel Sportsbook on any Week 2 game. Bet the money line or, throw some action on a prop bet. You name it. Works for you. New to FanDuel Sportsbook, sign up with the promo code JGM to also receive a free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code JGM. 21 and older and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line 1-800-889-9789.
Darren McFarland.
He's cool. He's got a personality, and they make fun of him.
Willie Donick.
Would this be a fun guy to come to work and hang around with all day?
Chase McCabe.
They're just like, hey, we need you to play yourself.
Darren, Donick, and Chase have you covered weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Curacion CBD on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 1025 The Game.
Do you want to win a pair of tickets to see Rolling Stones at Nissan Stadium on Saturday, October the 9th? Well, if you do, head on over to our YouTube page and subscribe to 1025 The Game's YouTube page, and you'll enter for your chance to see the Stones. One winner will be chosen on Monday, September the 20th. So make sure you head on over to YouTube and subscribe to 1025 The Game on YouTube. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game, brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember, FDIC, equal housing lender. Talking Titans, taking your thoughts on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025.
And my personal text line.
Uh-oh.
Getting so much help. Thank you, Jared Stillman. Finally, a text that's not destructful and – wait, destructful? Destructful's not a word.
Journalism.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. I like that.
I'm good at talking English. Jared says, and he was right, you looked it up, it was the Cleveland game last year. So that was a loss for whatever reason, I thought that he had done something in the win over Houston, and maybe he did, but the first quote of "Don't do dumb bleep" was after that ugly. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, I've already thought about the Cleveland game as a comparison to this game, where you just get ambushed and you're better than this, and you're not several touchdowns worse than the opponents that's just thrashing you, but that's just how the game turned out. So maybe some of this is just like how the overall game went. Adds to the emotion. But again, it's the next day he's talking about it. Also, Corey Curtis on my personal text line, driven by poor speaking of English, said Darren Bates took off his helmet. That's right, preseason game, and got a similar comment. So there you go. So figured there weren't just 2 instances total. I'm standing by and feel very good about saying it's rare, and especially rare with this kind of intensity of words.
The full quote last year from Vrabel after the Cleveland game, the message is don't do dumb stuff to hurt the team. And I don't use that lightly. That's the joke we have, and I apologize for my language, but that's what I tell them all the time about penalties. At the end of the day, we can't do dumb stuff that hurts the team. I think those players that were involved in that would tell you that is hurting the football team.
See, yesterday he didn't apologize for his language. He said in bold letters.
He did.
He said, here's a bleep for you, and I'm putting it in bold letters. So
3rd and 1 to 3rd and 16.
That
sounded disgusting by that.
Mute, by the way.
Yeah, I did.
1-0.
I mean, you had like 4 yesterday, but cool.
No way.
You had a lot yesterday.
Probably not.
Did I?
Maybe
Michelle?
Maybe even an unmute.
Joe, you've got like a bunch, and I think Robby and I we're like, there we go.
Just roll
again.
with it now.
We just roll with the punches.
That's right.
Ganged up on by millennials. Oh, it hurts.
Dennis texting in, maybe it's rare because it's rare that the Titans do stupid stuff.
That could be. Probably not.
Very disciplined.
Probably not.
Well, no, but look, I mean that was a bad one, and they're not typically a penalty-heavy team. They've been one of the least penalized teams.
Yeah.
In recent times, so that's true. I mean, look, that penalty obviously is going to infuriate you as a coach. I'm just saying there's a whole bunch. I mean, the film review of this game must have been just fascinating, especially when the offensive groups got together. I mean, there's just so many things out of that game that you had to really dislike if you were Mike Vrabel.
I'm sure it was a really fun film session to watch as well from the coaching staff. So now you try to flush it and move on. What did you make of the comments that Mike Vrabel had on Taylor Lewan yesterday in terms of, obviously, even yesterday on our show on the text line, and some today? He's been a very popular topic of conversation, getting beat repeatedly in that game, and Mike Vrabel addressed that yesterday at his press conference. Got a quote that says, you get beat. Sometimes that happens. We have to improve, and Taylor has to improve. We said this before. In this league, your best players, they have to play good on Sunday for you to win. That's how the game is set up, and that didn't happen for us. It happened for Arizona yesterday.
Yeah, well, and there's a lot. There's also a lot with Lewan. I missed Darren. I missed D-Mac, Darren McFarland. Apparently he and I actually texted. I heard part of the conversation yesterday, and I texted in because I think he thought that like Taylor Lewan didn't want to talk to media, and then he had the tweet, basically owning up to like playing terrible and saying thanks to Chandler Jones for motivating me or whatever he said. But I mean, basically saying I got my bleep kicked. A lot of bleep.
A lot of bleeps there.
I mean, I guess I could say that word, but I don't know.
Don't do dumb that hurt the team.
There you go. It's a family show. And so I guess D-Mac was like, well, how are you're gonna tweet that, but then you're not gonna. I will tell you, and I actually got this confirmed too. I mean, Taylor Lewan was not ducking me. He would talk, I think, any situation. And all the time here, and of course I go back to the glory days of having an open locker room. When they lost at Jacksonville in 2016, a brutal loss. They could have won the division. Marcus Mariota breaks his leg. They lose to a terrible Jacksonville team. They end up not missing playoffs. At first, Lewan declined comment. He waved me away, and then he was like, you know what? You're trying to do your job. Come on. He was miserable. He was angry. In great moments and bad moments, Taylor Lewan is the number one player you want to talk to, not because he says outrageous stuff, but because he gives you honesty and insight, and it's hard to get away a lot of times from players speak in cliches, and he's always real. Taylor Lewan was not trying to dodge it. Now, the Titans chose Saffold, and it was, I guess I was told, it's sort of like offensive line rep. You try to get different position groups, and Saffold's good too. But I put in a request yesterday. Every game, every situation, please bring out Taylor Lewan.
Every day?
Good, bad, middle. Well, yeah, I mean, that's fine too.
That is fine.
Again, the glory days of the open locker room. Go in the locker room every day.
That's
Whoever's
right.
there is there, and he was usually there.
He was.
Usually loud, and if you talk to him, usually get good quotes. But he wasn't dodging, and I don't know. I didn't have a problem with the thing. It's just like the whole thing with Lewan in the podcast, too. It actually really bothers me. Not because I swear I've never listened to the podcast. I think I heard the part about Vrabel cutting off his bleep. It's
bleeps.
It's the bleep show because that got a lot of play. But, like, people, when someone plays poorly and then, you call out, like, the podcast or whatever, if you think Taylor Lewan cares more about his podcast than being, like, a great NFL player, like, you're not using your brain.
Well, it's like
you're not looking at things because that's not true.
It's like when PK struggled a little bit here at times. Everybody's like, well, maybe you should practice hockey a little bit more rather than going out and doing stuff on social media and on TV shows with Trevor Noah and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, well.
So again,
he's not playing hockey 23 hours out of the day.
Right. So again, people who have free time who sit quietly in their homes and read a book or watch TV or go take a walk or whatever and aren't visible to the public are doing the exact same thing. They're using their free time for free time. If you use it to do a podcast, it doesn't have anything to do with anything. But anyway, that's enough defending Taylor Lewan. He was very bad Sunday.
Let's go back to the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Ben texting in. Lewan has let us down so much in the last few years. I can't remember him being reliable. From bad penalties to suspensions to injuries to bad games, he is good when he's good, but I'm very close to being over it. I wouldn't be surprised if he is a move on a year early rather than a year late candidate from J-Rob.
Oh, well, I agree with the last part, but, I mean, with that contract, I mean, look, if Taylor Lewan is what we saw Sunday, he won't be here next year.
Yeah.
I mean, that's easy. Okay, but as far as the let you down and stuff, look, he's had some bad penalties. I think mostly he's cleaned that up. And, man, I think he's played awfully well. I have games over the last few years where you're like, boy, the high-priced left tackle just didn't do his job. I think
we got a first-hand glimpse last year of how important Taylor Lewan is when he's on his game, when he wasn't there.
Yeah, and just when he was playing last year. And I agree with the suspension. That's fair, for sure. So 2 years ago, that team starts 2-4 largely because he's suspended for the first 4 games. So, and he handled that incorrectly no matter what you think of all of that. I mean, he could have handled it differently. So that's a fair criticism. But his performance on the field, I would argue it's been awfully good.
Was a move made yesterday by the Titans. Michael Badgley now out as the kicker, so the kicking carousel continues on. Andrew on the text line says, can we trade Lewan and Kevin Byard for Justin Tucker from Baltimore with a smiley face?
There you go. Make the call.
Think Baltimore does that? Probably so.
Maybe Baltimore has something they'd like to get Mekhi Sargent in or something.
Maybe
Can you
so.
throw him in? They need running backs.
They do. Need offensive linemen, too. Had one of those fall down again yesterday.
There's some other offensive linemen. You wouldn't mind the Titans a trade.
Yeah, I'd say. But here we go again. I wonder who the kicker's going to be for the Titans this week. That'll be interesting to see. Randy Bullock, maybe the leader in the clubhouse? Do you give Steven Gostkowski a call? Like, I guess, I don't know. Maybe they've called him already.
Yeah.
And it just hasn't happened. But, like, I figure if there was a week to call Steven Gostkowski, maybe this is it.
Yeah. I mean, just really increase when you're sending, like, the meat and cheese basket. Like, go with the one with, like, the fancy wine,
Yeah.
Maybe the dessert package. Yeah, I would definitely make that effort. And there's got to be someone out there, right?
I mean, Cody Parkey's out there.
Cody Parkey.
Former Titan.
Cody Parkey was not bad here.
No. And if memory serves me correctly, he wasn't bad last year.
Well, Parkey he was
double doink.
Double doink, but he was the one who was let go when they thought Suckup was ready, if I'm remembering that. There's a lot of tests of my memory today, and I'm not doing very well. but I'm pretty sure I'm right on that one. Am I right on that one?
Yes. And look, Parkey was 19 of 22 last year. Okay.
I mean, to me, that's a gimme, isn't it? Over Bullock?
I would think so.
Unless Parkey's still mad at the Titans. I don't think he was too happy about how that turned out.
He missed 4 extra points, so it's not great. I mean, Sam Pickens missed a lot of extra points last year too.
Right.
So
I don't know. It's a weekly question.
Looking forward to having this discussion every week.
Yeah.
Really, really love talking about kickers. It's great stuff.
It's still better than having every morning waiting for Tom Pelissero's COVID report.
That is true. When we come back, we'll be joined by our good friend Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports to break down the Titans and a wild Week 1 in the NFL. That's up next. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From all-day talk,
The good shooters, you notice, because their shot looks different. The puck just seems to be on the goalie quicker.
to the biggest games,
Open man is Devontae Smith. Touchdown.
Nashville's best sports talk is always at your fingertips. Just search The Game Nashville in your app store and download today. And keep it locked on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Make a game winner, take home an award. This is the Commodore Report. I'm Kevin Ingram. After hitting a 38-yard field goal with 19 seconds to play in Vanderbilt's 24-21 win at Colorado State Saturday, kicker Joseph Bulovas is the first Commodore in 2021 to win weekly honors from the Southeastern Conference. Named a Special Teams Player of the Week in the SEC on Monday, the senior and Alabama transfer capped an 8-play, 55-yard drive in less than 3 minutes after the Rams had tied the game at 21. He was glad to deliver for his teammates.
This game is not about a game-winning kick or anything like that. It's about hard work throughout 60 minutes of the game, and they wrote the letter. I just sealed the envelope, so I'm just very grateful to be here, man.
Vanderbilt is back to work, getting ready to host Stanford on Saturday. The Cardinal fresh off a blowout win over USC. Pre-game from Vanderbilt starts at 5:30 Saturday on the Vanderbilt Sports Network from Learfield. Congratulations to Vanderbilt football alum and former Commodore assistant David Culley. He recorded his first win as an NFL head coach on Sunday as the Houston Texans defeated Jacksonville 37-21. Texans linebacker and former Commodore Zach Cunningham recorded 6 tackles in that season opener. Pro Day for Vandy men's basketball is scheduled for Monday, October 4th, with NBA personnel to visit in the early afternoon, among a couple stops in the Music City. And time to tee it up for Vanderbilt women's golf, opening the season this week at the Cougar Classic in South Carolina. Greg Allen's group is tied for 11th after the first day. And that's the Commodore Report on 102.5 The Game and ESPN 94.9.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and Week 1 may be over, but the season's just getting started. At DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off Week 2, DraftKings is giving all new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $1 on any football game this week and receive $200 in free bets instantly, no matter what. That's right, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new customers $200 in free bets instantly when they bet at least $1 on any football game. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use that promo code 1025GAME and receive $200 in free bets when you place $1 bet on any football game. That code again, 1025GAME. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook, you must be 21 years of age or older. Tennessee only. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
Nashville's best sports talk, locally owned, home of our Nashville Predators. WPRT-FM Pegram, 97.5 Murfreesboro, WBUZ-HD2 Laverne, online at thegamenashville.com. We are
ESPN
102.5 The Game. Live. It's Robby and Rexrode with Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Welcome back in. Final hour of Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Michelle Knezovic here with you on this Tuesday morning in Nashville, Tennessee. Brought to you by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Remember, FDIC, equal housing lender, and it was a wild Week 1 in the National Football League. And to help us talk more about that, we go to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our good friend Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports. Charles, what's going on, brother? How we doing?
Doing well. Just thinking back to Joe calling me
last week and asking me if I thought there was a buzz about the Titans around the league. And I'd like to amend my statement. There is a buzz now about the Titans around the league today, as opposed to my thought process last week. I told Joe, I said, hey, if they really put a number, they come out big, there's definitely going to be a buzz. It's just the number that got put out there. It was the flip side of it.
But hey, looks like Chandler Jones is going to end up with about 85 sacks this year. So congratulations to him.
Yeah, I mean, it would help if he was facing an offensive line with the best player coming off an ACL and also missing, I don't know, a first-round pick who probably should be on the roster right now, contributing, a second-round pick that probably should have made the active roster. It's a line. I doubt he's going to face a line that has so much work to do in and out every single week. But, hey, bully for Chandler Jones. It's a contract year for him. That's the way to start it.
Off to a good start. Off to a great start on that contract year. So, Charles, obviously, the Titans game, very surprising here locally to how that played out. The Packers get destroyed by New Orleans down in Jacksonville. What was the most surprising result to you in Week 1 throughout the league?
It had to be. Look, it was close, honestly, between how the Titans showed up and how the Packers showed up. But probably the Packers. I just couldn't see. After all the off-season drama and then supposedly the cohesion that took place in camp and everything with Aaron Rodgers and the his teammates, and they all felt good, and even Aaron Rodgers kind of suggested after that loss that maybe they were a little blown up on themselves. They thought that offense would be able to boat race whoever they played, and clearly that was not the case. To see a 35-point loss and Aaron Rodgers, pulled out of a game, to protect him with almost 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter is just horrific. And it's one of those games where you look at next week, the Packers play the Lions on Monday Night Football, and for all intents and purposes, they should be able to beat the Lions in Lambeau, but they better beat the Lions convincingly, because if this is an offense that struggles again, if it's a defense that struggles again, I mean, Jameis Winston basically untouched for the vast majority of that game. There's going to be a lot of questions, and there are going to be a lot of people start, picking over Aaron Rodgers not being in the off-season program until camp started. And, is there a hangover? Are other people not thinking about football right now? That's just a lot of questions to be answered. And again, with the Titans, I think the Titans are second, close second, to see Mike Vrabel come out and, I mean, he lit up Julio Jones. I thought, okay, what he said, that's the kind of thing that typically, particularly after Week 1, guy's a big addition for your team. You say that behind closed doors. You coach him up. Obviously, he chose to say it at a podium. I get it. Julio, bad game. The interception was his fault. The 15-yard penalty when you're in 3rd and 1 is just, you can't have that happen. But wow. It was a stunner to see both the Titans and Packers come out like that. And oh, by the way, the Titans only have to play, in Seattle against the Seattle offense that looked like what we all thought it would look like down the stretch last season. I mean, clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, well, no doubt. It doesn't get easier. And, boy, playing the NFC West this year is rough for the AFC South.
Worst year to play, the NFC West. I mean, clearly the best division in football. I mean, even the 49ers, people are going to look at that score with Detroit, and you're going to say, well, geez, that seemed a little bit closer. It wasn't that close. And not only that, the 49ers, I'm sitting there watching that game yesterday, and I'm like, man, they're far more offensively talented than I thought, and then just from contributions with guys that I didn't expect. And it was a game like Brandon Ayuk didn't even really show in that game.
Right.
Like it's so it's a bad year to play the NFC West. That stinks for the Titans.
So on the Julio quote, that's interesting that it struck me, Charles, and we've been talking about it a lot today, because it's rare for Vrabel to do something like that. But it feels to me like it's even around the league just on its own, whether he is or not, as people are – and I'm sure that has a lot to do with the subject of the quote. But speaking of Julio, there's been some stuff. I mean, Jeff Schultz had a piece, for us a couple weeks ago with Arthur Blank talking on the record about all the difficulties there, after the contract stuff and coaches. I mean, how do you view him here now and I guess the potential for things to go bad?
Well, it was like I said, it was an eyebrow raiser to see Vrabel come out and refer to it the way that he did, which, again, I absolutely expected that to be his stance, but I would have thought, particularly in week one, it's something you address behind closed doors. If you really want to, lay out an expletive and say that's not what we coach here, and not to do that, you do it on the sideline, you reiterate it in film at some point, and then you're done with it. And you make sure, the position coach is saying, okay, let's get it together. Not a great start here. In terms of the Atlanta stuff, I don't know. I take that with a grain of salt. I'll say this: when the coaching staff and front office broke up, I did hear some grousing from people who went out the door about like, hey, we never should have signed him to the deal that we did, the extension we did. We were pressured by Arthur Blank to do that, and it put us in a position where it made it difficult to coach Julio really hard at that point, and just really, because it was clear the owner loved this guy, and when an owner says pay him and pay him big, it's in a situation where you have to hope that he self-motivates, does all the right things, and you're not railing on him to try and make sure that he's perfect all the time. Again, I don't know that he wasn't. I think there's a lot of, Monday morning quarterbacking that happens in those scenarios, and even by the media once somebody's out the door. I mean, no offense, but like Joe and I came up in Michigan, and there's a very well-known columnist who is great for writing scathing columns after somebody was gone. And I've always had a problem with that. I'm not a big fan of somebody who's, ripping it once someone's out of that locker room or out of that town, and you don't have to walk in and face that person. So
name names.
I'm trying to be. I'm not going to name names, but I know you know who I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about.
Very well known columnist.
My former coworker.
And your former coworker of Joe's, and so I'm trying to be generous with Julio here because the thing that I look at is he's got the talent. There's no question about that. He had a bad start, and you hope, and this is kind of how I looked at Green Bay too. You hope that this is that moment where it's like, okay, got to wake up now. That is not how that is supposed to go. And that has to be a quick, change immediately, 180 degrees next week. And I kind of felt like when you listen to Aaron Rodgers talk about the Packers, that's what he was saying. He was like, we can't. Okay, I was bad. We were bad. We just got to change this immediately. And that's the wake up call. And I would think that that's sort of how it is with Julio. I just think that what caught me off a little bit was to hear how Mike Vrabel addressed him. But I also think it was, it was emotional. And, oh, by the way, Matt LaFleur used the E word, embarrassed, week one. And I think Rodgers was a little pissed about that when he, because he said, look, I'll let him use that word or whatever. Rodgers wasn't going to say he was embarrassed. But, you had two coaches who basically came out pretty upset about how it reflected on them, because obviously when you suffer either of these losses, it's a pretty big indictment on coaches. And, you have some emotional words. But I always say, like, hey, week one, let's not get too excited. It's definitely an advertisement for the Calm app. Everybody just chill out. Like, we're nothing's ever as bad or as good as you think week one, which means like Arizona looks amazing. Do I think that's going to be Arizona all season long? I doubt it.
Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports on the line with us, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Charles, what did you think of the Manning brothers broadcast last night? Peyton and Eli taking in some Monday Night Football. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was awesome. What did you think of the broadcast last night with the Ravens and Raiders game?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was funny because I didn't initially start watching on that broadcast, and then I was kind of looking at Twitter, and I saw everybody talking about it, and I'm like, okay, let me flip over. And I never flipped back after I got over. I love the lack of production value. I love that, like, a commercial happens and people are like, what? Oh, we got a commercial. Like, commercial break. I'm like, you tell me you're not familiar with commercials? Like, I'm pretty sure you know what a commercial is. Like, it was just everything about it was, the clunkiness of it was charming. And, but I also love that, frankly, there was a lot of real sort of insight. You get this sort of storytelling aspect to that, which you expect. But what I really love was the end of it. Like, Russell Wilson still is playing in the league, and the last play of the game where Zay Jones, the defender, just basically gives up, and Zay Jones walks in with a touchdown, and Russell Wilson's like, what? Like, what? I'm paraphrasing here, but he's like, what? Did he just give up? Why did he just give up? I'm like, yeah, Peyton and Eli could probably say that. Like, I don't know if you should really, like, you're still in the league right now. Like, be careful about. But that was sort of what I liked about it. I thought ESPN did it right. Like, it was something different, and they picked the right guys, I think, in Peyton and Eli, who, I've had a chance to spend time with Peyton before, like at the Manning Passing Academy, and he's always really engaging anytime he's talking about the game or players or history or whatever. And that's a part of Eli that I don't think many people have seen. They haven't seen, but he can, especially when you get the two of them together. You sort of saw it last night. So I did. I liked it. I definitely will tune in, next week. That's where I'll start, Monday Night Football.
I know. Like, I did the same thing. I was like, okay, I'll check it out. But, the thing is, I love Riddick. I love Riddick's analysis.
Yeah.
I think,
yeah,
but
sure.
but those two guys, look at that's zero again. I mean, they're caught the coverage every time. It's a little bit like Romo, but even, I think, better in terms of just the depth of analysis, honestly, along with the entertainment value of them ripping on each other a little bit. Like, I'm hooked on it.
Yeah, totally the entertainment value of ripping on them. But another thing I would say to fans, particularly who are watching this, if you've never watched film with a player before, it was very much like that in real time. It was like the last play, which clearly was a busted coverage, two defenders run into each other, and I don't know if it was Eli or Peyton said it first. But the second they saw the replay, they're like, oh, they ran into each other on the twist. And it was like, in my mind, it triggered the few times where I've watched like film with a player or watched film with like an OC or a DC, and they immediately, the first time they back up the tape after seeing, something run live, they'll immediately diagnose what just happened pretty quickly. And so it's sort of like, to me, it's like what we like about the Tony Romo experience is Tony sitting there going, oh, okay, here we go. Boom, boom, boom. He's going to do this. And before the snap, and we're like, wow, that's really uncanny. And it just sort of gives you another, I guess, layer of what it's like to watch through the eyes of a player. And, I think they picked a good pair. I'm not often complimentary of ESPN when they try what I always feel like is sort of gimmicks to make Monday Night Football better or whatever. But this one I actually think worked. I was like, it's clearly a lot of people enjoyed it, and I think it's sustainable with those two. And I actually like, too, that they didn't overproduce it, because I hate the idea of having stuck like a traffic cop between those two and sort of like bantering it back and forth. No, just sit them in two seats, let them do what they're going to do, bring on some guests. And I thought it was perfect. The lack of production quality actually drew me in, because I'm like, hey, you kind of get to see the weird, awkward angles of this, and it's nice.
Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports has been our guest here on Robby and Rexrode. Charles, great stuff as always, man. Appreciate you taking time to join us.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. And I just want to say, microwaved Alpo at a steak restaurant is a heck of a way to describe a lost Joe Rexrode Gold Star.
Thank you, Charles. Hey, next time we have you on, I'll ask you what your favorite album is, okay? But we'll save that for the next show.
My favorite album? Oh,
you get it?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's talk in code on the radio. All right.
Your favorite album. Okay. All right.
There we go.
Thanks, Charles. We appreciate
See you, man.
it. We'll come back. We'll react to what Charles had to say there. Take your thoughts on our text line as well. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
A.J. Brown and the 0-1 Titans Titans are headed to Seattle for a crucial Week 2 showdown with DK Metcalf and the Seahawks. And we've got you covered with non-stop coverage all week long.
Maybe Vrabel can pull something off and totally change the discussion a week from now.
This is Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
102.5 The Game. And the Game Nashville app.
It's soccer season in Tennessee. You want goals?
He takes it inside, outside, right foot. Great finish! What a goal!
You want saves?
Lifted high, into the hands of Joe Willis. He makes the catch.
You want big drama?
Hooked in and headed in! Delirium! It's Yonder Cadiz!
Nashville SC are back at home Wednesday, September 29th versus Orlando City SC. The action kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Tickets on sale now at NashvilleSC.com.
How'd you like that?
Football is here, Titans fans. With 5 locations throughout Middle Tennessee, it's easy to find the perfect corner pub to meet up with friends and family to cheer on your favorite team. Head downtown to watch your Tennessee Titans play on the 50-foot LED screen or brunch it up next Sunday in Cool Spring with Jared and friends live on location. Stop into any location for game day food and drink specials. Corner Pub, your local family-friendly sports bar in Brentwood, downtown Nashville, Bellevue, Cool Springs, and Franklin. The neighborhood meets at the corner.
It's football season, and Spring Hill Heating and Cooling is here to serve you. If your AC or heater is old and inefficient, you can replace it with up to 60 months no monthly interest financing for qualified buyers. That's right, 60 months no monthly interest financing for qualified buyers. One of the many ways you can save at Spring Hill Heating and Cooling. They offer 6 months no interest financing available on repairs. Spring Hill Heating and Cooling, offering premium service without the premium price. Visit springhillac.com or call them at 615-778-8855.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and let me tell you about my friends at Curation CBD. If you're like me and have aches and pains all over your body, and you've been searching for a solution, well, I've got it. It's Curation CBD. Curation means healing, and that right there says it all. Curation is locally and organically sourced CBD products right here from Middle Tennessee. From seed to final sell, Curation is passionate about providing quality products for everyday use for athletes and for pets too. Order yours now at CurationCompany.com. Curation CBD, curated for life.
Vaccines are not enough, and accurate thermometers are essential for everyone. COVID is once again a major concern, and fever is the key symptom for both the flu and COVID. An accurate thermometer, like the Exergen temporal scanner, is essential to detect fevers early and reliably. Studies have shown that non-contact thermometers are ineffective and therefore dangerous, as they create a false sense of security. Exergen is working with a single focus to ensure that everyone who needs an accurate thermometer can purchase one. Learn more at Exergen.com.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get in on the action. Well, no more, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month with no contract. And get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for only $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless, no contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required, actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
Interact with Robby and Rexrode. Call or text the show at 615-737-1025. Driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
NFL fans, don't miss Nashville's best NFL pregame show live from Corner Pub in Cool Springs this Sunday. The NFL pregame show features Jared Stillman, Mark Howard, and former Titans wide receiver Chris Sanders. Join them from 1 to 3 p.m. live at Corner Pub in Cool Springs at 9200 Carruthers Parkway prior to the Titans taking on the Seattle Seahawks. The NFL pregame show is brought to you by TriStar Moving, Parman Tractor and Equipment, FreedomTireGuys.com, FanDuel, E2 Roofing, Hillside Medical, Social Furniture, and Screwball Peanut Butter Whiskey. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game. Brought to you by Volunteer State Bank, now with 2 locations in Murfreesboro. Visit our brand new Murfreesboro location at 2019 Memorial Boulevard. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Thanks to our good buddy Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports for joining us in the last segment. Said it was really close between the Titans and the Packers for the most shocking performances in Week 1. I think it would probably be difficult as an NFL fan to go anywhere else than either one of those two in Week 1 with how lopsided those games were.
Yeah, big disappointment for Michelle's favorite fan base, Bills Mafia, to lose at home to Pittsburgh. But, I mean, that's a solid football team. I mean, we expected Pittsburgh. It was a close game. Overreactions are rampant during this week. But yeah, those two results were just eye-popping compared to everything else.
Let's go back to our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. Did you have something to say?
Well, I was going to say, it is interesting that former coworkers, Mike Vrabel and Matt LaFleur, their quotes are getting a lot of play this week.
A lot of analyzing going on out there right now.
Yes.
A lot of analyzing. David texting in, do you want to talk about dumb stuff? How about the Titans going forward on fourth down last year and this year? They made it last year with a great pass by Woodside, and they also made it this year, but both of them just gave them a first down, and they produced nothing after that. If they failed either of those, they would have lost points almost surely. The only reason we don't talk about them is because they made it. Doesn't change that it's still extremely dumb stuff. So David, not a big fan of the fourth down conversion between Matthias Farley and Amani Hooker the other day.
So, David, are you saying that any sort of fake of a punt or a field goal is always dumb? I would disagree with that. Now, I would say that the one they tried with Brett Kern a few years ago wasn't the best. We've talked about that one a few times.
Extensively.
But I actually thought, I mean, look, I would say that, and I'm not being hyperbolic here. And I remember that John McClain was in the press box with me, just a few seats down. And he said, and I will say, I thought the same thing, and he said after the game, he said, that might be the best coach game I've ever seen. And it was one of the best coach games I've ever seen. 2018, week 2, Mike Vrabel's second game, they had no offensive linemen. They had, everyone thought it was going to be awful. And they won largely because of a touchdown from Kevin Byard to Dane Cruikshank on a fake punt. The safety thrown to the safety. Yep. That one worked out better than this one did. But I didn't hate the fake punt. I thought they needed a spark, and they got a spark. And then, by the way, here's how the offense responded to the spark. First down, Derrick Henry, run, loses a yard. So that put him at 5 rushes for 4 yards. Derrick Henry gets 2 yards. Now he's at 6 carries for 6 yards. And then 3rd and 9, Taylor Lewan can't block Chandler Jones. Sacks Ryan Tannehill. So the offense, which was, again, the biggest problem by far, way beyond anything else, simply didn't capitalize. But, hey, they saw something on film and it worked. I mean, sometimes those can be huge moments in a game for a team to help win a game.
I just want to throw out there that in the 2 times that we've seen a safety throw a pass in Mike Vrabel's tenure, it's worked out pretty well.
It has.
2 for 2.
Safety throwing, safety catching.
One of them was a touchdown.
Yeah.
So
that was a heck of a play.
Yeah, it was.
But, yeah, look, in terms of other things, though, in that game, there are a lot of things. There's a long list of things the Titans did wrong on top of the Julio Jones penalty.
Well, a long list of things that they did wrong that I think concern you normally, but then when you look back at how Seattle played week 1 against Indianapolis, you got a lot of things to clean up in a hurry, because if Seattle plays like they did last week, you're going to have to play almost perfectly to win that game on the road because, look, Russell Wilson and company, I mean, Tyler Lockett played great last week. You got DK Metcalf. They ran the ball okay with Chris Carson as well. They've got a really good offense. Now, I still think defensively there's some talent there, and obviously Jamal Adams is a great player. It's not the Legion of Boom that they got back there or anything anymore. So there should be some plays to be made there offensively for the Titans if they can block better, which is a big if because supposedly that's the strength of the Indianapolis Colts, and it did not look like the strength of the Indianapolis Colts against Seattle on Sunday.
Yeah, this is a huge I think a lot of people are going to be, we're already seeing some of it, picking against the Titans, thinking they're going to get blown out, which I understand based on how they looked and how Seattle looked. But this is going to be especially a big challenge the offensive line week. And what you hope beyond the whole wake-up call idea, the whole, okay, you're going to respond to that and be galvanized and just be determined to play tough football. You also hope that, Ben Jones, Nate Davis, now a full week, now removed from being from the COVID list and their injuries, can really find something. I think you're fine at right tackle with David Quessenberry. I think you might need to rethink backing up Taylor Lewan right now. But obviously you hope he responds too, and that he can feel better, get his mobility together. I mean, some of those blow-bys. Chandler Jones is a very good player, but in a normal encounter with Lewan fully healthy and everything like that doesn't happen. So to me, there's got to be some physical limitation still lingering or whatever with Lewan. So you hope he responds too. And I still think this could be a very good offensive line. I think the Colts could have a very good offensive line. We could be talking about just a completely different thing next week, just like we are this week with Vanderbilt.
That's right. And right now, first place Houston Texans. We'll see if we're talking about that next week as well. Texans with a big.
Well, they will be. They will be no worse than tied for first.
They'll be no worse than tied for first.
That I can guarantee you.
That is correct. Speaking of bouncing back, a lot of that's going to have to do with Todd Downing and whether or not he can come up with a plan and execute that plan on Sundays. Lots of criticism for Todd Downing after Sunday's game. How much of it is fair? How much of it is unfair? We'll get into that coming up next. Take your thoughts as well. 615-737-1025. This is Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 1025 The Game.
Titans, Seahawks. The Two-Tone Blue seeks a Week 2 victory in hostile territory. Tune in Sunday at 1 for NFL pregame with Jared Stillman, Chris Sanders, and Mark Howard. Live from Corner Pub in Cool Springs. We are Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN
1025 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hey Nashville, it's Jared, and there's a new go-to for home furnishing.
The summer clearance sale at Social Furniture, where all furniture is reduced in every department. Designer sofas from $5.99 and leather sofas from $7.99. Queen bedroom sets with queen bed, dresser, and mirror from $11.99. They come in solid, cherry, oak, and gray. Casual 5-piece dining room sets starting at $3.99, and formal dining sets starting at $5.99. Sealy, Stearns & Foster, Simmons, Serta, and Purple Mattress, all sizes on sale.
Social Furniture on the west side is independently home-owned furniture store in Nashville. Forget the big box store. Shop local, shop social. They have all the best brand mattresses, sofas, recliners, love seats, sectionals, coffee tables, and more with no waiting. They will deliver it the same day. That's with everything at Social Furniture. Enjoy new furniture now with no waiting. Shop local, shop social. 5412 Charlotte Avenue near White Bridge Road, and tell them Jared Stillman sent you.
The Electronic Express famous half-price fair is going on now. Save up to 50% in every department. Incredible savings on 4K TVs, appliances, computers, speakers and headphones, smart home, and more. Plus, get up to 36 months free financing. You won't find a lower price anywhere. We guarantee it. The Electronic Express famous half-price fair is first come, first served. Ends Saturday at 9 p.m. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Hey, Darren McFarland here, and Week 1 may be over, but the season's just getting started. At DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sports betting partner of the NFL. To kick off Week 2, DraftKings is giving all new customers a can't-miss offer. Bet just $1 on any football game this week and receive $200 in free bets instantly, no matter what. That's right, DraftKings Sportsbook is giving all new customers $200 in free bets instantly when they bet at least $1 on any football game. DraftKings is safe, reliable, and secure. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use that promo code 1025GAME and receive $200 in free bets when you place $1 bet on any football game. That code again, 1025GAME. This week at DraftKings Sportsbook, you must be 21 years of age or older. Tennessee only. Restrictions do apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Hiller. There's no better time to upgrade your essential home systems than this month with Hiller. They're offering credits for your old home systems. Trade in your old HVAC unit and earn up to $1,500 in credits towards a select new system. Upgrade from a standard water heater to a tankless water heater and earn up to $500 with your trade. Trade up to a new electrical panel and earn up to $500 in credits for your old one. Their work is backed by the Happy You'll Be or Services Free guarantee. Their technicians are continuing to take measures to keep you and your family safe and healthy on every single call. Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical, proud sponsors of the Nashville Predators, Vanderbilt, and the Tennessee Volunteers.
Hey Nashville, Vanderbilt football coach Clark Lee here, inviting you to tune in on ESPN 94.9 every Monday at 6 p.m. for the Commodore Hour, providing you with exclusive insights on Vanderbilt athletics.
Hey, Nashville, this is Dan Lovitz. You're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Tune in to Nashville Sounds Baseball tonight on ESPN 94.9 as the Sounds begin a 6-game road trip against Gwinnett, the AAA affiliate of the Atlanta Braves. The pregame show with Jeff Him starts at 5:50 and first pitch is at 6:05. Nashville Sounds Baseball presented by 312 Pizza Company and Farm Bureau Health Plans. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game, presented by Volunteer State Bank. Real people, real solutions right here. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Also streaming on Periscope, on YouTube, and on Twitch as well. And we're excited to announce that you can watch us every day on streaming. Our video streaming is brought to you by the law offices of Amanda Gentry. So lots of you participating on Twitter and on or on YouTube and on Twitch as well. And we appreciate that. I appreciate your comments on there as well. Joe, a lot of talk about the offensive line, and that's why I think it's tough to really judge what we saw in some respects from Todd Downing in Game 1, because when you can't block, your entire offensive game plan really gets thrown into the mud at that point. But we did talk about it yesterday. I thought there were some decisions and some play calling early in the game that I didn't like, was not a fan of, and that I feel like has to get much better as they move ahead here. Now, we knew this going into the season. If the offense, for whatever reason, isn't productive on a game-by-game basis, or one game turns around and it's a slow start for this Titans offense, Todd Downing going to receive a lot of heat based on Arthur Smith, how productive he was, and how productive this offense was while he was here. A lot of Titans fans already upset with Todd Downing. How much criticism of Downing at this point do you think is fair? If you're a Titans fan, how worried are you about Todd Downing, not only with the first game that just happened, but also based on his track record with the Raiders as well?
Well, to me, the criticism is 100% fair for this game. It's no different than a head coach if your team overall plays poorly. I mean, look, the head coach would say, yeah, but this guy didn't execute this, and then this guy didn't do this, and all, well, okay, it's on you. You're the head coach. Same thing with the offense. The offense was so bad all the way around. I think it's absolutely fair to say Todd Downing had a terrible day at the office. I don't know how you could argue otherwise. But what happens when especially after week 1, when this is the only information, is then people take it to, oh my gosh, this year's going to be a disaster, and that's a massive overreaction. I didn't watch that game. I don't watch that game and say, oh my gosh, he has no chance. Let's remember with Arthur Smith, and there were other factors, the biggest one being Taylor Lewan being suspended, although it's kind of interesting parallel because Taylor Lewan may as well have been just out of the game Sunday the way he played, right? So remember that when the Titans were 2-4, it wasn't just in 2019. It wasn't just Marcus Mariota or Tannehill. It wasn't just like Lewan. A lot of it was also, how the heck did you elevate this tight ends coach to OC? And then we saw what happened during the year. Now, there was no track record for Arthur Smith at that time as an OC, and there is a year of bad offensive performance on the record of Todd Downing. Yep. So that would be a big difference there. But I'm still in total wait-and-see mode. Wait-and-see mode on him in terms of what this will be this year. I think it would be way overreacting to look at that and say it's just going to be a disaster. They're taking a huge step down from Arthur Smith. It's absolutely fair to say that was a bad day of work for Todd Downing.
I think it is too. And look, I agree with what Corey Curtis said yesterday and what we've talked about a little bit. The offensive coordinator position is maybe the easiest spot in all of sports to criticize because, you can tangibly see what they're doing is either working or it's not working, and there's really no in between with the offensive coordinator, so I get that. And obviously Todd Downing knows a lot more about football than I do. But moving forward, I would like to see, even if, especially if the line is struggling, get the ball in the hands of Julio Jones and A.J. Brown quickly. Hit the ball on some bubble screens. Go with some slant routes. Get the ball in their hands quickly and let your playmakers make some plays for you. I realized pretty much everything that could go wrong Sunday went wrong against Arizona, but I felt like early in the game, those two did not get enough targets. They did not try to get those two the ball quickly enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, and play action, which Vrabel was asked about yesterday, someone had the stat that they did it twice. I don't remember who had the stat. I mean, if it's Pro Football Focus, they're probably off like 2 or 3 because I don't trust Pro Football Focus. But they didn't do much. And Vrabel was asked that, and he said, well, it's hard to dial that up on 2nd and 12. But I would say it's not a bad idea maybe every once in a while to do it on 1st and 10 or just drop back on 1st and 10. I mean, play action can, and the data definitely supports this. Play action works for teams that don't run the ball well too. Actually, I mean, there's it can be a useful tool. But when you are running on 1st down repeatedly over and over again, and you are then behind the chains, well, I get it. I mean, again, the second possession was run into the line. Now you're 2nd and long, and now you're going play action naked bootleg, and well, Chandler Jones thanked the Titans very much for that. It's the easiest strip sack he'll ever have in his life.
I forgot that it was a contract year for Chandler Jones. It's off to a great start.
It's a good start. That's a good start. I mean, he's good. He's been good, but they turned him into LT.
Who had the most sacks on the Titans last year?
Harold Landry had 5.5.
Okay, so in one game, Chandler Jones almost surpassed the season sack leader for the Titans last year.
There you go.
It's pretty incredible.
Lots of stats that you can have fun with out of this game.
It's pretty incredible. Oh, man. I got a lot of thoughts on the text line about the Peyton Manning broadcast last night. What did you think of Peyton and Eli?
Yeah, no, I loved it.
I loved it.
I did, and I didn't necessarily. I wasn't like all jacked up to watch that. I was like, okay, that's kind of a cool idea. Like I like when I do like the coach round table for like the national championship game. But honestly, even with that, I'd kind of like, okay, I'm going to go back to just the announcers and the game. Narduzzi did that one year, by the way. That was entertaining.
I bet it was.
But I got hooked on this. I got hooked on it because, again, it's not just the entertainment value and all that stuff, and I agree with Charles on the low production value. It has a charm to it, but to me, it's really a lot of good football talk.
I think
from those guys.
As this season goes on, if it continues like it was last night, you learn a lot about football watching a game with Peyton Manning and Eli Manning. Like I was blown away by what I was seeing last night in terms of just it felt like you were in a room with them and they were having a casual conversation about just watching the game.
And the thing is, like Louis Riddick is I think he's a great analyst, and he also will give you a lot of really good insight and knowledge. But it's still like a normal broadcast. You just have a lot of formality you have to get through. Like play-by-play has to call the play, and this like there's only so much time that Louis Riddick has to give. And frankly, I mean, I just think he's way better than Greasy.
Yeah.
To give you that analysis. But with this, these guys are just like, oh man, look at that. Or well, like it's just like guys sitting around watching. And there's actually more information that you can get from that, along with the fact that it's funny.
Nate on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. My favorite parts were when Peyton and Eli were doing the Gruden and Carr impressions, and when Peyton put on the small helmet. Peyton did put on the Ravens helmet last night.
He does have quite a noggin.
Eli talked about.
As the hair fades a little bit, you get older, the size of the noggin becomes even more impressive, actually.
Well, there was a lot of talk about Peyton at the Hall of Fame. You know, the bust came out, and the forehead probably not proportional to what Peyton Manning's forehead actually looks like. That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
I think he got jazzed about that a few times. I think Archie took a shot at the forehead.
See, I just saw the text that they said didn't they say quit scratching your head or something?
Yeah.
Or quit itching your head? Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in. I'm in on it. I'm very interested to see the ratings and how that did first night and how much momentum it picks up.
I know this. When the Green Bay Packers take on the Detroit Lions next week on Monday Night Football, I'm going to be watching the whole thing with Peyton and Eli.
I mean, that's
and probably Brett Favre.
This is one of the few ways you can get me to watch a Detroit Lions football game, but I actually want to laugh at them laughing at the Lions.
See what happens on that front. When we come back, we'll switch gears. Could an NFL coach already be on his way out the door thanks to an opening in college football? We'll get to that coming up next. Got some tickets to give away as well. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
From the Fox 17 News Code Red Weather Center, I'm Fox 17 meteorologist Greg Bobus. A few isolated showers and weak thunderstorms this afternoon into this evening with no severe weather. Hot and a little bit humid once again. High temperatures in the upper 80s near 90 degrees. A little bit cooler, lower 80s going into tomorrow.
This weather report brought to you by Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
Call the Happy Face Truck today.
Hey, it's Jared from my friends at Edmunds. Buying a car can be overwhelming, especially now that the demand is back and in full swing. Lucky for you, Edmunds has been taking the stress out of car shopping for over 50 years. Edmunds editors drive over 500,000 miles every year, testing thousands of hours on hundreds of new vehicles. They review almost every car on the market and rank the best ones in each category. So you can narrow that search and compare options side by side to find the best vehicle for you. And when you're ready, Edmunds makes it easy to find options in your area with accurate price estimates. Edmunds has top-rated awards, which are selected by their editors based on all that extensive testing, so they know, hey, if this is what you're looking for, this is going to be a good fit for you. It considers performance, comfort, technology, fuel economy, and value. And you can rank it however you'd like. Edmunds is here to guide you to your perfect vehicle. Visit Edmunds.com to see their best car rankings and search for vehicles near you. That's EDMUNDS.com. For cars, there's Edmunds.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know when you win, you're gonna get paid. You need a sportsbook that offers all the action to make every game feel like the playoffs. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. And they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BetUS. I play at BetUS, and so should you. Now is your turn. Join now. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. My favorite sports book, BetUS.com.
Up to 200% sign-up bonus. Support the station and use code GAME.
Tell them Sapp sent you. Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. Call today, and they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. I play at BetUS, and so should you. BetUS.com.
Use code GAME for a sign-up bonus.
Tell them Sapp sent you.
Hey, it's Jared for TriStar Moving. If you're looking to move, you need to give my friends at TriStar Moving a call. At TriStar Moving, you'll get 5-star service throughout the entire process. Everything will be taken care of, from covering your floors, banisters, railings, front door thresholds, furniture, TVs, and more. They took great care of my move and made it as stress-free as possible. If you're looking to move, give TriStar Moving a call, 615-640-1219, or visit them at NashvilleMoving.org/radio and get 5% off your entire move. TriStar Moving, my official movers.
Jared Stillman.
This show, if you're a listener to it, I think is educated enough to know what a good general manager is.
And company.
At the end of the day, wins really are all that matters.
Tune in Stillman and Company for your drive home. Delivered by TriStar Moving. Weekday afternoons from 2 to 6 on Nashville's best sports talk.
ESPN.
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You're listening to Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
He just panned it right there. Those are two plays I just caught. I cannot. This helmet doesn't fit. I gotta have specially made helmets.
Specially made helmets.
Okay, they do. Riddell makes precision fit helmets now. They fit your head specifically. Yes, for big heads. All right, it's the new thing.
You need some more powder on that forehead. You look like you sprayed Pam all over it.
Okay, here we go.
Nice.
That was Peyton and Eli last night on the
Pam.
Ravens and Raiders broadcast. Lots of good stuff last night by the Manning brothers. If you missed it, probably something to check out as they move forward here. Jeff texting in on the text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. I believe Peyton and Eli's broadcast goes to ESPN Plus beginning next week. I'll have to check on that. Maybe it does. I've got ESPN Plus, though, so whatever.
Oh, is that right?
I don't know.
So this is going to –
I have no reason to doubt Jeff.
This is going to subscriber.
Could be.
To get it. Huh. Okay.
I'll still be watching.
I'll still be watching, too.
I don't think I have that. I think I used to.
Yeah. Maybe this was the bait last night. They used it on ESPN.
Will you get it, Joe?
To get it in there.
I don't know. We'll see.
Could be back to Louis Riddick for Joe Rexrode.
That's the thing. I mean, I actually felt like I was kind of betraying Louis Riddick. I'm a huge
friend
fan.
of the show.
A friend of the show, Louis Riddick. Great analysis. Like, are those guys happy about this?
Probably not.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like this pinnacle to get to Monday Night Football, and now it's like, oh, thanks, guys. But
we're going to put Peyton Manning over there.
Peyton and Eli are going to joke around and have like Barkley and Russell Wilson and Ray Lewis on, and you guys call your little game. Thanks.
I'm interested to see what the ratings look like on that front. We got some tickets to give away to see TSU take on Kentucky State coming up at Nissan Stadium this Saturday. Be caller number 3 at 615-737-1025, 615-737-1025 on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Caller number 3 will win a pair of tickets to see TSU and Kentucky State at Nissan Stadium coming up this Saturday. Joe Rexrode, some interesting news yesterday in the world of college football. Clay Helton has been fired by the USC Trojans. They were run all over against Stanford the other day. They fall 42-28. Clay Helton is fired. And now a very prominent college football program has a job opening, and a lot of people yesterday trying to connect the dots between Urban Meyer and the USC job opening. Obviously, things did not go well for Urban Meyer in week 1 with the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence with 3 picks. They get beat by what many people consider to be maybe the worst team in the league in the Houston Texans, and really got dominated by Houston in that game. What do you think about the possibility of Urban Meyer taking the USC job? Is that even remotely on his radar at this point, being a head coach in the NFL 1 game in?
I mean, Reddit College Football or something tweeted that. Sources that he's about to leave. That would be an all-time just what are you talking about moment, right? No, I don't think there's anything to it. I don't think there's anything to Urban Meyer being interested in that job if he was a free agent right now. I think it's Notre Dame or nothing for the rest of Urban Meyer's career, and it may well happen at some point. But I don't think I don't buy it. I'd also like to say, what the hell is USC doing? Like, Clay Helton has supposedly been, just no one likes him. Everybody wants him out of there and all this stuff. Why'd you go into the season with him? You get one bad outcome against Stanford and you
fire him 2 games in.
So now, yeah. I mean, just do it in the offseason then.
Yeah, it didn't make a whole lot of sense.
It's bizarre. But
how attractive is that job right now? I mean, it's USC, right? But in today's landscape of college football, how attractive is the USC job?
Well, Ryan Porth hopes not very attractive. Now, I saw Dennis Dodd reporting yesterday. He wrote a piece that Fickell is the choice. My first thought was James Franklin.
Yep.
And I feel like James Franklin, I think it just depends on the person. I think there's a lot to be concerned with. It's not what it used to be. The Pac-12, although great week for them, beating Ohio State, but the Pac-12 is going to lose footing compared to, really even like if you're James Franklin, yeah, you probably hate being in Ohio State's division. But over time, I think, the money dictates that you're in a better spot to stay in the Big Ten, and the ideal spot would be the SEC. It's a pro town. It's Hollywood. It's when they were at their absolute best. Yeah, it was awesome. Like, they had Snoop Dogg at practice and stuff. But they still also had like 20,000 empty seats on most Saturdays.
Yep.
So, in a huge, granted, in a massive stadium, but I still think it's an attractive job. Their access to talent is tremendous. But I don't know. Like Luke Fickell, if they are all in on Luke Fickell, what an interesting choice for him.
Yeah.
Cincinnati's going to the Big 12. That's what Ryan Porth is saying. But the Big 12, Luke, you're in the Big 12, which means so in other words, the AAC South. But Luke Fickell's a Midwest guy. He's never really worked out there. And it's going to be fascinating if they are all in on him, as Dennis Dodd reported. I feel like James Franklin would be a good hire for them, and I feel like James Franklin might love that opportunity. I think a lot of people still look at USC and say it's USC,
Yeah.
It's not that far removed from greatness like some of these other programs that have cycled down. I I would look at James Franklin if I were them. But if it's Fickell, he's very good.
Do you know who I think would be really good for this job right now at this stage in his career? That's not – he can't take it because he can't do it again. Lane Kiffin. I think he would be awesome for the job right now. And they fired him on the tarmac. I realize that. But, Lane Kiffin, I think, is a much different coach now than he was back in those days. I think there's been some maturity to Lane Kiffin. I think going to Alabama really helped him. Doing a good job with Ole Miss. I think he would do really well there. I don't anticipate that happens.
I don't hate that at all.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something. You know who else? Well, we had a guest earlier on the show who's basically responsible for Pete Carroll being in Seattle, and he's responsible for Reggie Bush not having his Heisman, which is Charles Robinson. He did the story on Reggie Bush and that entire thing, which was a big part of Pete Carroll moving on.
Yeah.
What about Pete Carroll coming back? No one cares now. Name, image, likeness.
It's true.
Come on back. Recruit. Russell Wilson's mad at you.
Although they didn't look mad at each other on Sunday.
They looked like best friends. So maybe everything's all. That's the thing. This week, Titans play a clean game, win. Yeah. Julio has a big day. Roses and puppies and rainbows.
Dennis texting in on the text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Would USC be interested in Todd Downing?
Here we go.
Here we go.
I got mailbag this week. It's
going to be great.
Combine all the fire coordinator questions into one.
Keith texting in. Bill O'Brien accepts the USC job the week before the national championship game. Alabama wins it all again with some dude we've never heard of calling plays. You think USC waits that long? They might have to if they get somebody good.
Pete Thamel put out a list, including some of the people we've been talking about, but Bill O'Brien does it. It moves quickly.
Could it be Josh Heupel after year one? Just recycle this Lane Kiffin thing all over again? Heads out to USC. The people of Knoxville start burning mattresses in the streets again. This could be an annual thing or every 10-year cut type thing.
What would the reaction be if that's the case?
Oh, it would not be good.
But it would not be like that.
Probably not. But
that was
would not be good.
Weren't there major hopes? Lane is going to bring this back to a natty.
Oh, yeah. It's right after Fulmer.
Who has that hope right now?
Not very many people.
Well, I don't even think you burn a pillowcase.
Probably not.
Let alone a mattress.
That does it for us today here on Robby and Rexrode. We'll be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. Got a lot to get to. Darren Donica Chase is coming up next. Right now, though, I've got to tell you about my friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. And the biggest game this Sunday is the Chiefs and the Ravens. And FanDuel Sportsbook is about to make it even bigger because FanDuel is giving customers 30-1 odds on either team to win. And that means you can end the weekend the right way by winning $150 on a $5 bet. Personally, really like Kansas City in this game, but you take it any way you want to take it. Plus, when you win, you'll get paid in as little as 24 hours. You can see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook. So, if you're new to FanDuel, just sign up with promo code ROB this Sunday before the Chiefs take on the Ravens, and you could win $150 on a $5 bet. Remember to use promo code ROB so they know that I sent you exclusively on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. You must be 21 or older and present in Tennessee. New users only. A $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. A max bonus of $150. Bonus for Tennessee users fulfilled in site credit within 72 hours. Tennessee site credit expires 14 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Got a gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line at 1-800-889-9789.
Take us wherever you may go.
There are 2 guys on my untouchable list.
Tune us in anywhere, anytime.
Every team's got those. That's my point.
Just search